As well as making the characters sound genuine, we also had to make them act like real mobsters, and we were able to do this with motion capture. We bought our very own mocap studio for Mafia II so that we could capture or tweak any animation whenever we needed to. The challenging part, however, was to get all these movements and combinations to run within the memory limitations of a console and still have a fun playable game. Another thing that we insisted on with the mocap sessions was that the actors used real weapons as props. Real weapons equals realistic animations. So we ordered real firearms such as the classic Tommy gun, the MG42 and various pistols, and you can really see that in the movement of the characters.
Takže to vás nechám. Zasílíme zvuk. Oblečou se lidi do oblečení. A scéna se hraje. Samozřejmě musíme mít naprostý přehled, v čem se herec pohybuje.
Vito, one more thing. Here, put this on.
A takhle už to vypadá, že se zkompletuje.
So nobody recognizes us. Just put it on.
Ještě jeden příklad.
Jdeme 3, 2, 1, teď. Ty se nemůže být nikdy jistý, dokud to pořádně neočekuješ.
Samozřejmě, když ještě nemáme výsledné voiceovery, tak jedeme na bázi jakési překladu, který si sami ještě doplňujeme. I tak vzniká text nový, který se tak přehazuje a on
This is for Marty.
Takže takhle nějak vypadá ten capture. Takže to vás nechám. Zasílíme zvuk. Oblečou se lidi do obleků, herci. A scéna se hraje. Samozřejmě musíme mít naprostý přehled, v čem se herec pohybuje.
Vito, one more thing. Here, put this on.
A takhle už to vypadá, že se zkompletuje.
So nobody recognizes us. Just put it on.
Ještě jeden příklad.
3, 2, 1, teď. Ty se nemůže být nikdy jistý, dokud to pořádně neočekuješ.
Samozřejmě, když ještě nemáme výsledné voiceovery, tak jedeme na bázi jakési překladu, který si sami ještě doplňujeme. I tak vzniká text nový, který se pak předhazuje a oni ho konfrontují s tím, co tam opravdu je.
This is for Marty.
Takže takhle nějak vypadá ten capture. Vzájemně se vnímali, čili ty akce tam fungovaly úplně perfektně.
Come on, I want to hear you squeal like a pig.
Menší studia vlastně nahrávají třeba jenom jednoho herce zároveň, ale ty větší studia, jak bylo tohle, jak jsou schopni nahrávat všechny herce pohromadě, takže na sebe můžou reagovat a ten výsledek působí živěji. To je to samé jako malý motion capture studio by mohl nahrávat jenom třeba jednoho, dvě postavy, ale velký, jako máme my nahrává třeba 5 lidí zároveň.
Tady máme naše hlavní postavy Henry Vitu.
Whoa. This ain't some liquor store pickup. I want this to be done. I want this to be a clean job. If there's any shooting, your cut drops to a third. And if you get caught, I don't know you. And you really don't know me. Arish?
I got it, no shooting.
Okay. And when you're done, you come back here, we'll settle up.
Good luck, Vito.
I'm playing Marty. Marty, the crazy kid.
Hey, guys. Marty, what are you doing here?
Hey, Joe, I'm going with you on this one. Steve needed some help, and he said that I could come along, huh?
Hey, Frankie, we got a little business to take care of here. Why don't you go have a smoke? I like your scars, pretty boy. Where'd you get them? Can I touch? Hey, Frankie, we got a little business to take care of here, huh? Why don't you go have a smoke? I like your scars, pretty boy. Where'd you get him?
Sharky? Who wants to know? Name's Vito. I need... Shut up. Follow me.
Ty věci, které jako jsou schopni nahrávat všechny herce pohromadě, takže na sebe můžou reagovat a ten výsledek působí živěji. To je to samé jako...
Come on! Cornholing time! Come on! I want to hear you squeal like a pig!
Menší studia vlastně nahrávají třeba jenom jednoho herce zároveň, ale malý motion capture studio by mohlo nahrávat jenom jednoho, dvě postavy, ale velký, jako máme my, nahrává třeba 5 lidí zároveň.
Go get yourself a piece. You could get a phony gun license from Jeuxactu.
Whoa. This ain't some liquor store pickup. I want this to be done. I want this to be a clean job. If there's any shooting, your cut drops to a third. And if you get caught, I don't know you. And you really don't know me, gabish?
Yeah, I got it. No shooting.
Okay. When you're done, you come back here, we'll settle up.
Good luck, Vito.
What do you say, Vito?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, and don't forget to take a piece with you. You never know what's gonna happen. Better to be safe than sorry. Agabish.
Wait. This isn't some liquor store stick-up. I want this to be a clean job. If you kill anybody, your cut drops to a third. Gabish?
Yeah, I got it. No problem.
Okay, when you're done, you come back in, we'll settle up.
All right, I'll see you.
Good luck, Vito.
I'm playing Marty. The crazy kid.
Hey, guys. Marty, what are you doing here?
Hey, Joe, I'm going with you on this one. Steve needed some help, and he said that I could come along, huh?
Hey, guys. Marty, what are you doing here?
Hey, Joe, I'm going with you on this one. Steve needed help. He said I could come along.
The DJs talk about period news and world events such as World War II, and they perform charming old-fashioned style commercials.
Famous actors. We really have a problem with the fact that you can't relate to that as the player character so much.
It's, oh, that's so-and-so, that's not the character. You know, he's voicing the character, but I'm thinking about the actor, not thinking about the character on the screen.
How about you get back in your cute little car with your little friends there and I'll pretend I never seen you. Sound good?
Something we did for Mafia II that a lot of games don't do is that we brought all the actors together and we did 5 or 6 guys at a time on an ADR stage actually playing off one another.
Having these guys just banter with one another, you really get that higher level of performance that we really needed and really wanted to achieve with Mafia. Mafia II is it's a third-person action-adventure game set in a fictional city in the east coast of America during the 40s and 50s. It charts this guy, Vito Scaletta's sort of rise into a life of organised crime along with his buddy Joe.
What is it that you want? I want to know why you had our friend killed.
Well, like every classic mob story, Mafia II is a story about friendship, betrayal. The guys who you think are the bad guys might not really be the bad guys. Your best friend might be the bad guy.
The thing that's really important to us is this sort of cinematic storytelling that the guys here at 2K Czech can sort of achieve. Something we're really proud of, something we've invested so much time and effort into making sure it's perfect.
A na tom vlastně stavíme.
We want to present the whole game in a Hollywood film-like style, and visually it looks amazing, but it's the story that's the most important thing for us.
It starts off with, it's just about Vito, and then the first guy you meet is Joe. He's Vito's best friend, and then you'll meet Vito's mother and sister right away.
Vito, my boy. My boy's home.
Vito's a nice guy, he has strong morals, he doesn't kill people because he wants to, he kills because he has to.
He just wants to get a bit of money, a bit of respect and a bit of power. Vito doesn't aspire to be the Don.
Here's your 300 bananas. I'm taking my cut as the middleman. Next time, you're on your own.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
When I first got the first version of the script, one thing that really stuck out was that it was a buddy story. It wasn't just one guy on his own doing what he wants.
Like I said, I know people. You get all the official paperwork tomorrow.
Joe's sort of a shoot first, sort of ask questions later sort of guy, you know?
Joe is the guy who comes up with the schemes and or tries to come up with the schemes, and Vito kind of makes sure that they both don't get arrested or killed.
Joe just makes some pretty dumb decisions through the story, you know, and Vito is just left to sort of like deal with that and sort of get Joe, his best buddy, out of these scrapes.
Don't worry, I thought of everything. I got these phone company uniforms so we can pretend to be fixing something.
Sounds a little too simple.
Our goal was to build the relationship in such a way that it's clear to us, or to the player, that Joe is his best friend. Something like family, if not even more.
We'll find you a job where you can make good money without killing yourself, all right?
Music to my ears.
Besides Joe Barbaro, there's a lot of other characters that Vito meets and interacts with and becomes friends with throughout the story. The first real mob guy you meet is a guy named Henry Tomasino, who gives you kind of your first big break. And then this guy named Eddie Scarpa, who's kind of similar to Joe in that he likes the booze, he likes the women.
It's an open world city with a very strong linear story traveling through it, which is maybe a little bit of a different structure than we see with other open world games.
With our game, the story is incredible, the dialogue is amazing.
If you knew what was really going on, you'd realize that you was better off in jail. But that don't matter now anyway.
What we wanted to chart was this guy's rise through the ranks of the Mafia.
The Mafia is pulling the strings. If you're ordered to do something, you have to do it, even if you don't agree. Otherwise, you won't survive, or you might lose a friend, or even your family.
You're gonna do us all a favor, and if I refuse, you die.
The life of a mobster isn't what it's all made out to be, you know. It's not all really glamorous, you know. It has some really bad things that happen to it, and we really explore that during the story. I think it's really interesting. People are gonna really enjoy it.
What'd you say your name was?
Vito.
I need someone to give him a little nudge. $10 a man.
What if someone makes a fuss?
Well, then you'll have to convince him otherwise.
At its core, Mafia II is a third-person action crime game. It has all the exciting car chases, all the gunfights, and all the melee combat that you'd expect from a game like this.
Our target kind of experience was very much things like Goodfellas, Godfather, very kind of adult movies with very serious themes. And for that to happen, we needed the game world to be realistic.
Shooting is one of the most important things in the game, and obviously, as we try to be realistic, our weapons are quite lethal.
We really want it to feel like deadly combat. What we don't want is the player sort of rushing enemies and doing things like that, you know. You can only take 2 or 3 shots before you actually die. If someone shoots at you, the first instinct is to get behind some cover. It really feeds into that intense feeling that we really want from the gun combat experience.
We spent a lot of time and effort on the cover system because the player will spend a lot of time using it. But you have to be careful because the cover can often be easily destroyed. So if you're hiding behind a fence and it starts to disintegrate, it's time to move elsewhere. This destructibility was a big thing for us. We wanted to fill the whole city with a massive number of destructible objects, so the player felt that they could pretty much destroy anything. The player can use a wide range of weapons, from pistols to submachine guns. Of course, we had to include the classic Tommy gun that everyone knows from the Mafia movies.
We do massive explosions from different stuff, like vehicles can be exploded. With some Molotov cocktails, they'll sort of set fire to the gasoline as it falls on the floor. And all these different things are things that you'd sort of expect from the 40s and 50s weaponry. Melee combat in the game is a really sort of visceral experience. We wanted it to feel really brutal. So it's a very simple system. Using 2 buttons, you perform these either hard punches or light punches. And then using a combination of these, you perform these finishing moves. And the coolest thing is these finishing moves are sort of context sensitive as to where you are in the world. So if you're stood near the hood of a car, then the player might punch a guy and then sort of smash his head against the hood of the car, which is a really cool thing.
The driving model is very realistic. So you drive these things, they really feel like period cars. They feel very heavy, they feel really satisfying when you're driving them around. Once you get familiar with the controls, there's a real skill to doing the handbrake turns, the donuts and the skids in the street. The inspiration for these has been the cars and the car chases that you see in gangster movies. So if you visualize a gangster movie chase, you know, the cars screeching around the corner with the smoke coming off the tires, guys shooting out of the windows with Tommy guns, this is very much one of the key goals for the driving experience. We've got like a few features in the game which allow the player to sort of like personalize their vehicle. In the body shops you can customize the car a fair deal. You choose the car that you like the best. You know, I'm going to choose to take this car on the mission because it's better than every other car in the city. I think that's a pretty cool decision to make.
Our gameplay is great. We've got shooting, car chasing, everything a game needs, but we also need to link it to the story to create a believable game.
We needed to move away from some of the more arcadey conventions that you see in other open world games and focus more on a realistic experience for the player, so the player behaves like a mafia gangster.
One day my father decided it was time to move away, across the ocean, to start a new life in Empire Bay. Never in my life had I seen anything as fantastic. It was beautiful.
Empire Bay is a fictional city. It's on the east coast of America. It's inspired largely by New York. You would probably recognize the skyline, but it's really a cross-section of lots of different American cities.
Empire Bay covers an area of around 10 square miles, which is roughly twice the size of the city in the original Mafia.
We have many different neighbourhoods in the city, some 20 different neighbourhoods. It really sort of feels real, you know. It feels like an American city that everyone's been to, but obviously it's period authentic as well, and it's a big part of the details that we've added to the game.
These little details were so important to us when we were creating the city. We wanted the buildings to have the correct wireframe models and the textures to be as authentic as possible. So we actually went to New York and Chicago and spent several weeks soaking up the atmosphere and taking thousands of photos to use as inspiration.
We have two versions of the city. We've got a 1940s version and a 1950s version. So the first part of the game is set in the winter, you know, like the whole place is completely covered in snow. It's happening during World War II, so the whole atmosphere is one of, you know, austerity. Everyone is very poor. A lot of the young guys have been away to war. In fact, the game begins with Vito coming back from the war.
And just like in our game, life is tough for Vito. Life is not easy for Vito.
Can't believe you just got me out of the service.
Come see me tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about.
For me, it's the very small details. You know, like the snow sliding off the cars when you accelerate. The period detail is extremely high. All of these things together, the animations, the detail, the weather changing as you go through the missions, it's really just all adds together to create the atmosphere and the vibe. Then when we move to the 50s, it's a very different environment. It's rock and roll, the guys are driving cool cars, everyone's got a little bit more money, the whole kind of feeling and the vibe of the game has changed.
The 50s for us really is the birth of cool, you know? The birth of the TV, the birth of rock and roll. It's got all these different sort of things going for it, you know, after the depression of the 40s and the war. When you sort of come to the 50s in the game, it really feels different, you know? It's really bright, it's really vibrant, there's loads of different stuff going on in the city.
The music in the game really transports you back to the era. We have almost 200 licensed tracks that were on the radio back then. This is all real music from the era. You know, it's artists like Little Richard, Tony Bennett, classic artists that, you know, the music is still alive and well today.
Hey, how'd you get in here?
The enemies in the game are different sorts of gangs from within the city. You have the bombers, the greasers. But as well as that, we have other Italian mobsters from the Clemente family, from the Vinci family, and the Falcone family. I guess a big enemy could be described as the police force. The feds and the police are always trying to put a stop to the mafia's crimes that are going on.
It depends on which police you're talking about. If it's the beat cop, are you going to screw with these guys who really aren't committing a violent crime right in front of you? You're just going to take your payoff and keep on walking because it's a lot easier.
What we wanted with the police is a sort of very 50s film sort of feel to it, you know. If you duck out of sight, duck down a few alleys, then you're going to lose the immediate chase.
Everything just feels different. The way they speak is different, the music is different. All of these different elements, they really transport you back. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm gonna go to Manhattan now and walk around. Expect to see the same kind of thing. It's a different world. Like most mob stories, it's a rags to riches story. Here's where you are, here's where you want to be, and here's what you have to do to get there.
When the player first picks up the controller, they're fully immersed. And that's really something we've spent a lot of time doing. Our technology is a big sort of driver of this, you know, allowing players to feel like they're sort of taking part in a movie experience.
We've built all the technology from the ground up to be exactly as we need it. Being it the AI system or streaming system, things which enable us to make the city alive exactly as we envision it. The fact that we built our own illusion engine enabled us to execute exactly what we wanted to happen in the game.
Všechno musí fungovat dohromady, to znamená...
Using the illusion engine, we were able to create a real living city. This is not a sci-fi game, so players know how everyday objects should react. It was much more demanding to get these things right so that players believe and trust in the game world. The non-playable characters go a long way to making Empire Bay feel believable. We have a very elaborate system that allows them to behave normally in the city. For example, waiting at traffic signals before crossing the road.
It shows that our game is not only good fun, but also that there is attention to detail.
Every bullet you shoot, it has some impact. It can destroy a piece of the environment, it can injure the characters.
The PhysX engine has a big part to play in this. Whenever a player destroys an object, it can cause a chain reaction of destruction. For example, shooting the gas tank of a car can cause it to explode, killing the enemies around it. Because of the sheer number of destructive possibilities, we needed the lighting to be dynamic. Our illusion engine is perfect for this. It can display lots of different light, cast realistic shadows, and it reacts to the real-time events happening around the player.
Podstatná část Mafie jsou...
In order to link this world with the gameplay and the great story, we needed to create cutscenes that were like short films. It's a very important thing for Mafia, the fact that the game looks like a movie.
With a huge story in a living city with all these characters, you need to see what Vito's thinking, what he's doing. You need to see what other characters are doing. You need to see what's going on down the street, maybe.
In order to create the cutscenes, we built our own cutting editor and engine. This enabled us to play the cutscenes in-game and in real time. It wasn't easy, but now we can animate anything we have in the game. This allows us to forget about the technology and concentrate on making movies.
Don't worry about the kid, small price to pay. Small price? That's my f***ing friend you're talking about.
All of us at 2K, we're all really immersed in the world of Mafia. We all love these movies, you know, The Sopranos, Goodfellas, Godfather.
Movies that portrayed the real mobsters as real people. I grew up with guys like this, so I looked at the story and I was like, okay, this guy is like, you know, this guy I grew up with, this guy's like another guy I grew up with, and then I just, you know, add a little more character into the characters.
We spent a big part of our lives on this game, but I very much believe it made a difference, and people will feel the love that we put in.
While there was a big focus on story and the cutscenes and the dialogue and the characters, we never forgot that this, first and foremost, is a game gamers want to play. Empire Bay is the city that the game takes place in. It's based on mostly New York with a couple of other little cities mixed in there in the 1940s and 1950s. And this is the world that Vito and the player explores. One of the goals when we started really developing the characters was that we wanted these to feel like real people. They weren't just going to be stereotypes.
We detail out who our characters are, what we think they would sound like, and then we sort of go out and choose the sound of our actors. We maybe test like 120, 150 different actors.
Mostly guys who grew up in New York or lived in New York for a set amount of time. You kind of have to know the lingo. It's its own language. You can't really imitate it or you end up sounding like, you know, Fat Tony on The Simpsons.
One of the decisions we took real early on in the project was to not use famous actors. We really have a problem with the fact that you can't relate to that as the player character so much.
It's, oh, that's so-and-so, that's not the character. You know, he's voicing the character, but I'm thinking about the actor, not thinking about the character on the screen.
How about you get back in your cute little car with your little friends there and I'll pretend I never seen you. Sound good?
Something we did for Mafia II that a lot of games don't do is that we brought all the actors together and we did 5 or 6 guys at a time on an ADR stage actually playing off one another.
Having these guys just banter with one another, you really get that higher level of performance that we really needed and really wanted to achieve with Mafia.
As well as making the characters sound genuine, we also had to make them act like real mobsters, and we were able to do this with motion capture.
Máme k dispozici motion.
We bought our very own mocap studio for Mafia II so that we could capture or tweak any animation whenever we needed to. The challenging part, however, was to get all these movements and combinations to run within the memory limitations of a console and still have a fun playable game. Another thing that we insisted on with the mocap sessions was that the actors used real weapons as props. Real weapons equals realistic animations. So we ordered real firearms such as the classic Tommy gun, the MG42 and various pistols, and you can really see that in the movement of the characters.
Something else that makes the world really feel alive is the radio. For a great deal of time in the game, you're going to be in the car, so we have multiple radio stations in the game. Each has its own DJ.
To je na tomto zajímavé, že
we worked really hard on the DJ scripts to get them just right and to set the scene for the 1940s and 1950s. The DJs talk about period news and world events such as World War II, and they perform charming old-fashioned style commercials. The DJs really help to create an authentic atmosphere.
And they all play different type of music, and I think we spent about 4 years working on the soundtrack at this point.
Empire Bay's news home.
Vedle hudby v rádiu.
Besides the music on the radio, Mafia II also uses a lot of cinematic score that we composed here in the 2K studio. The game contains many Hollywood-like elements, so we naturally needed music to support this.
V podstate sa skomponovalo viac ako 180 minút hudby.
In total, we composed over 3 hours of original music using electronic samples and computer programs, but we knew that to convey the right emotions, we needed to re-record it with live musicians.
Even though we're dealing with guys that maybe have got involved in shady kind of deals and whatever else, we still see the human side of them. The feeling of engagement with the characters in Mafia is really second to none.
Hey guys, here in Prague, in Czech Republic. We've been invited to the Mafia II First Look event at 2K Czech Studios at Brno, just outside of Prague. We're gonna meet the makers of Mafia II, see some behind the scenes footage. It's gonna be cool. Been awake for like 24 hours straight now. Kinda tired, but still excited. So I think the bus is almost here, so let's go downstairs and let's go. Here we are on the bus on the way to Brno. Brno is about 3 hours away from Prague, and as you can see, it's kind of deserted. So we've arrived at 2K Czech. It's extremely cold here. Oh, I really want to get inside now, so let's head in. Okay, this is Martin. He's a development manager for 2K Czech. He's going to show us around the studio.
Alright, hello. So here we are in the location indoor art department. This is where all the insides of the buildings are being created. Over here is sitting leader of this artist group, and you can see the fruits of his work. So here we see Joe's flat. Joe is the best buddy of our main character Vito, so he's going to be by your side most of the game. And this is his flat at the 40s.
Oh, wait. That's interesting.
Here we are in the room where sit animators working on the cutscenes, our cutscene team, who are actually making the in-game movies for the game.
Hey, we use those headphones at Game Access.
Okay, so Mafia II is a very cinematic experience, and like every good movie, it needs great soundtrack. The composed music is very important for us. We have actually 2 composers working on it. One is our internal composer Matuš Široký, and another is an external composer Adam Kuruc. And having an internal composer is very important for us because it enables us to start working on the music very early on and iterate and polish and make sure that it perfectly fits exactly what we need from every moment of the game. And right now we are working with electronic samples, sound libraries and such on the computer, but later on we are going to record the music for Mafia II with live orchestra in Prague. And now Matuš will show you a piece of his composing process.
Thanks. I think that every composer has own way of composing music. In this part of music I started by composing orchestral basic. Out that it still needs something more, I will add another instrument, in this case piano, and record them.
All right, so what we'll be looking at is Joe's flat. Joe is the second main character of the game, your best friend in the game, and we will be looking at how is the flat changing during the course of the time.
Chceme, aby bylo vidět, že ty naše lokace nejsou mrtvé, že jsou živé, že v nich žijou lidé, že tam zanechávají stopy. Třeba tady v případě Joe po nějaký noční mejdan to měl. Se soustředíme na interaktivitu celého prostředí, je tam spousta různých interaktivních věcí. A všechny interaktivní objekty, které jsme měli možnost podívat se na ně předtím v té hře, tak teď je vidíme v editoru, jak jsou označené nápisy. Další věcí, kterou nám umožňuje náš streamovací systém, je to, že si hráč může vychutnávat vlastně z toho interiéru pěkně exteriér, to dění venku přes okno třeba. Tady v případě kuchyně pěkně vidíme, jak jsme chtěli zobrazit vlastně ten interiér jako interiér, ve kterém žije svobodný 30letý muž. Teď bychom se mohli podívat na ten samý byt, ale o několik let později, na začátku 50. let. Takže tady to je Jirka a jeho byt ze začátku 50. let. Vidíte už v té předsíni, že se nám změnily dekory na kobercích a na závěsech. Vidíte, všecko vychází zase ze stylu počátku 50. let, zase veliký důraz na barevnost a na estetické vyznění té lokace.
How many times the apartment can change during the game? How many times?
Konkrétně tady u toho Joea bytu se změní 3krát. Budeme tam v roce 44, potom v roce 50 budeme mít jiný ten byt a v polovině 50. let.
So obviously the music for Mafia 2 is a very important part of the overall experience as we are going for this strong narrative and the cinematic feel. So we actually have two composers working on the music. One is a internal composer, Matusz Shiroki, over here.
I think that every composer has her own way of composing music. For example, in this cutscene, I started by composing orchestral basses. I find out that it still needs something more, I'll add another instrument, in this example, piano.
So I guess for a guy like you composing the game for Mafia 2, you have to know the music of the 50s, American 50s, to make some music.
Yeah, of course. But we have a specialist, Adam Kurutz. Yeah. He's a very good jazz man and orchestrator.
Kirby je z velké části inspirovaný New Yorkem, ale taky ostatníma městama americkýma. Určitě jsme se nesnažili udělat nebo skopírovat reální město. Kirby je fiktivní město složené vlastně z různých zajímavých částí, které v těch amerických městech můžete najít. Ono je potřeba trochu stylizovat ve hrách, protože asi nikoho by nebavilo cestovat hodinu z jedné strany města na druhou po dálnici, což velká zábava není určitě. Takže to město naše je menší, má asi 10 km čtverečních. Je to takový kompilát fakt zajímavých architektonických útvarů nebo i budov přímo. V New Yorku jsme strávili, v New Yorku a v Chicagu jsme strávili několik týdnů, kde jsme vlastně fotili materiály, snažili jsme se trošku nasát tu atmosféru a potom teda doufám, že se nám podařilo ji přenést do toho našeho města, který potom můžete vidět ve hře. Máme tam asi
přes 20 různých čtvrtí nebo respektive takových městských částí, které se výrazně liší. Znamená to třeba, že to je Chinatown, Midtown, italská čtvrť, tovární čtvrť, černošská čtvrť a tak dále. Prostě jich tam něco málo přes 20. Ty prostředí se velice mění, takže tím, jak projíždíte městem, tak narážíte prostě na různý typy budov a tak. Neustále se vlastně, kdyby ta grafika mění, nepůsobí stereotypně. Další takovou součástí toho města nebo vůbec celkově toho environmentu je počasí nebo vlastně atmosféra, kterou se tam snažíme vyvolat. Protože začátek hry se odehrává těsně nebo na konci vlastně druhé světové války nebo těsně po ní. Tak jsme se snažili podpořit tou atmosférou nebo tím, co jsme schopni vytvořit jakoby v grafice, to znamená volba barev, počasí a tak dále, podpořit jakoby tu depresivní atmosféru poválečnou. A teprve v průběhu hraní se vlastně hráč dostane do 50. let, kde se ta atmosféra změní. Pak můžete vidět tam třeba na tom letním městě, kde je tam víc slunečných dnů, prostě je tam víc barev, nový auta, samozřejmě odpovídající móda na postavách, takže víc ženských sukní a tak dále. Všechno to prostě začíná fungovat jakoby trochu veselý a tak, podporovaný to je samozřejmě hudbou a hudbovými reáliema. Taky se tam vymění vlastně reklamy. Určitě tam v té pováleční éře můžete najít třeba váleční poustry, váleční plakáty, které vlastně lákali vlastně ne vojáky, ale prostě k odvodu, pomohli Evropě a tak dále. Takže všechny tyhle ty věci nám tam fungují. To město vlastně, nebo i veškeré ty lokace, které tam máme, musí, protože jsme se snažili vytvořit, jakoby zprostředkovat hráči dojem z těch 50. let, aby se dokázalo vžít do té éry, tak všechny tyhle maličkosti, o kterých jsem mluvil, prostě musí spolupracovat, musí prostě do sebe zapadat a to doufám, že se nám podařilo. Takže potom když vlastně chvíli hrajete, myslím si, že hráč má možnost se vžít do té role a prostě cítí, že je v nějakých těch 50kách nebo v nějakém takovém částečně fiktivním světě, ale který mu je strašně povědomý a může si tam prostě užít tu náplň. Myslím si, že to, aby se hráč dokázal vžít do role toho hlavního hrdiny, je asi to nejdůležitější. Potom ten zážitek z té hry je asi největší. A to se samozřejmě snažíme. Můžeme se mrknout na nějaký malý lokace. Ty jsem ještě nezmínil, vlastně v tom městě můžete najít různý hospody nebo fast foody a tak dále, které můžete využívat v průběhu gameplaye, ale potom taky speciální lokace, jako je třeba tady Jeuxactu. Nevím, jestli už jste dostali nějaký briefing o tom, kdo je vlastně Joe, tak je to nejbližší kamarád Vita, hlavní postavy. A na začátku vlastně, kdy Vito teprve začíná získávat zkušenosti s životem v podsvětí a ještě zkrátka nemá vydělané peníze, tak Joe mu nabídne, že může bydlet u něho v bytě. Bohužel teda jenom na gauči, tady tuhle postavu si rezervuje Joe pro sebe a pro své přítelkyně. A jak vidíte, tak na začátku jakoby ten byt působí, není nějak bohatý, prostě je to vlastně docela takový obyčejný byt, který si Joe může dovolit na začátku. A teprve v průběhu gameplay, kdy vlastně oba dva ti hlavní aktéři Joe s Vitem se dostávají dál do mafie a získávají nějaký peníze, tak vlastně Joe si ten svůj byt vylepší a to pak vidíte tady vpravo. Samozřejmě Joe se nedá očekávat, že by měl nejlepší vkus, takže to dopadne potom zhruba asi takhle, jak to vidíte. Ale konec konců to jsou všechny ty věci, které tam vidíte, tak jsou dobové reálie, které jsme našli nebo nastudovali. Nastudovali jsme design z těch 50. let a takhle. Zkrátka některé byty vypadaly a možná, že do dneška některé tak vypadají v Americe, nebo možná i tady, já nevím, možná, protože lidi to občas přepísknou. Takže tam bude jakýsi třeba progres tady v takových lokačkách, potom se podíváme dál na nějaký větší lokace, což jsou mise vlastně. Tam se odehrávají ty nejdůležitější části hry, to znamená plníte nějaké úkoly, většinou jsou tam přestřelky s nepřáteli a tak. Snažili jsme se vybrat různorodý a zajímavý prostředí. Tady, co vidíte vlevo, tak jsou vlastně triády, restaurace triád. Není to jenom ta restaurace, ono pak gameplay pokračuje dál vlastně do toho zázemí, celého toho komplexu, kde narazíte potom na opěvý doupě a další zařízení, které tam vlastně ta čínská mafie má. A důležitou součástí toho nebo co jsme se snažili tady u těch interiérů, tak samozřejmě zase jsou to reálie, důraz na detaily a tak dále, ale taky zničitelný prostředí. To znamená, když tam probíhá ta přestřelka, tak aby hráč měl pocit, že opravdu se tam něco s tím prostředím děje, tak jsme se snažili prostě udělat to tak, aby se ty objekty kolem ničily, prostě, aby to mělo nějaký vliv. Můžete pak vidět tady vedle vlastně další takový prostředí, zase se liší. Je to vlastně jakoby moderní, nebo v úvodovkách už je to z 50. let, ale v 50. letech moderní interiér hotelu, kde zase vidíte prostě nějakou skleněnou stěnu, která se umí tříštit a další objekty. Zkrátka, aby to prostředí trošku žilo, aby si ho hráč mohl užít, tak jsme ho vyplnili tady těma věcma, který prostě může destruovat a nějakým způsobem interagovat s ním. Potom ještě tam vpravo vidíte další prostředí, to je státní úřad, kde teda probíhá trošku jiný typ gameplay než tady v těch dvou prostředí. Tam se jedná spíš o stealth, kde musíte prostě se proplížit kolem hlídačů, kteří tam kontrolují a ukrást. Vlastně máte zadání svého bosse prostě zajistit tam nějaké materiály. Tak. Myslím si, že potom budete mít určitě možnost vyzkoušet si v těch demech, které budete hrát, nebo budete tam mít další prostředí, vidíte, že se to liší, tam bude myslím tovární komplex a tak dále. Takže každý to prostředí jsme se snažili vybrat tak, aby se dostatečně lišilo, aby si hráč mohl užít různých prostředí, ve kterých se ty mise odehrály.
V této chvíli jsme připravili už 200 civilů pro město, 100 hlavních postav, 33 variant Vita a 24 variant Joe. Docela dost. Ale vizuálně pro playera to může znamenat až 10krát tolik, protože můžeme snadno měnit barvy šatů, aniž bychom měnili textury. Funguje to docela podobně jako photoshopovský overlay mode. Funguje nám to samozřejmě díky shaderu, funguje to v podstatě, když to předvedu, tak nějak takhle velice jednoduše. Takže vizuálně můžeme prostě velmi snadno multiplikovat počet barevných variant a to nám dává na ulicích a ve hře velikou pestrost. Inspirací pro nás byly samozřejmě hlavně dobové filmy, dobové modní magazíny nebo v podstatě knihy o modě nebo de facto i z běžného života, samozřejmě těch 40. 50. Nesnažili jsme se dělat nějaké heroické hrdiny, jak je možná běžné v jiných hrách, ale spíše nám šlo o jakousi uvěřitelnost postav, dobovost a prostě celkovou hloubku charakteru. Docela dbáme na detailnost, to je část Vitovy rodiny, ale samozřejmě celková hloubka je asi to, co je nejdůležitější. Které varianty Joea vlastně Vitova parťáka, věřím tomu, že budou velice populární, třeba tady ta Bilecká, ale samozřejmě i další. V obličeji každého charakteru máme okolo 30 mimických kostí, které nám pomáhají rozhýbat postavu a nastavit si požadované exprese tak, aby jsme docílili toho, co chceme. Můžu snadno demonstrovat tady na připraveném případu. Moc rychlej. Máme dokonce vrásky připravené ve druhém mapovacím kanálu, jak si tady můžete všimnout na tady těch schematických pózách. Player vlastně bude mít i simulaci fyziky šatů a dokonce takové rozšíření pro PCčko, chystáme, že dokonce i civilové v městě budou mít fyzikálně simulované šaty pro grafické karty. Já vám můžu ukázat v tuto chvíli simulaci na Blarovi na několika variantách šatů. To je krátká bunda. Už jsem tady trošku dělal nepořádek, než jste přišli, takže ta scéna je možná trošku silná.
Tam akorát bych jenom podotknul, že Ivan běží zde debug verze hry, která je náročnější kvůli zaznamenávání informací, takže proto ten slabší frame.
Taky především mnohem vyšším rozlišení. Takže dělali jsme pořádek, tak dáme uplatek. Máme tady nějaké mrtvé na ulici, takže... Takže sako, dlouhý kabát, de facto cokoliv. Tak jako bych si to vzal zpátky. Takže fyzika krásně reaguje prostě na jakékoliv podněty. Opravdu jakákoliv verze, třeba zajímavá je i ta vázanka, která taky dělá celá parádu a prostě pěkně rozhýbává to, co vlastně hráč neustále vidí, takže obraz v žádném případě není. Můžu to prolistovat dál a dál. Nebudou to v žádném případě všechny verze Blaira, které máme nachystány, ale si budete muset počkat až na finální hru. A to by bylo
možná. Díky, Ivane. Vizipák bylo řečeno. Bohužel jsme nemohli vycházet z originálních vozidel, takže prostě neuvidíte tam známé značky velkých automobilek, ale snažili jsme se inspirovat jakoby tou dobovostí těch vozidel, aby to co nejvíc vyjadřovalo atmosféru té doby. Máme tam auta hlavně z 40. a z 50. let, ale ve hře uvidíte i třeba starší auta, i vlastně z let 30. což vlastně trošku se podělí na té různorodosti aut, takže hráč vlastně může jezdit úplně vlastně jako starými pomalými auty, až vlastně po modernější auta, protože v průběhu těch 30. do 50. let probíhal obrovský boom v technologii, v automobilovém průmyslu a podobně. Takže tady vidíte jedno z těch starších aut. Snažili jsme se dát do hry nejrůznější typy aut, od čtyřdveřových standardních aut po pick-upy, dodávky, různá speciální vozidla pro oživení hry, vidíte, kabriolety. Ve hře máme vlastně dva typy policejních vozů. Tady to je taková specialitka, dřevěňák, které vlastně byly časté v Americe po válečné době, kdy byly vlastně určité restrikce na používání kovů, takže ten už taky nesmí chybět, tak se to podílí na té dobovosti, dobové atmosféře. Takhle auto se nám ještě mění vlastně v průběhu toho, jak hra pokračuje, tak vlastně se objevují jakoby novější typy aut, takže prostě na začátku hry uvidíte jako starší typy, pomalejší vozy a prostě v průběhu hry budou už jezdit jakoby lepší, rychlejší, modernější vozidla. Vidíte dva typy taxíků. V podstatě každým těm autem si může hráč zajezdit. No, teď bych krátce řekl něco o technologii, kterou používáme. tak samozřejmě důležitý prvek jsou na autech shadery. Kromě toho vlastně těch standardních vlastností už jsou dneska ve hrách běžné, že třeba auto odráží vlastně realistické okolí, tak vlastně používáme třeba barvení u aut, takže auta můžou mít dvě barvy a jakoby takhle dvoubarevnou kombinaci, ale hráč si může zvolit ve hře. Tady to je jenom takový cheat, vám ukazuju jenom na ukázku. Ve hře si potom hráč ty barvy kupuje v bodyshopech a může si teda navolit, jakou chce barevnou kombinaci, a v bodyshopech se také dají na auto dělat různá jiná vylepšení. Může si měnit kola, hráč si může vylepšovat motor, může si například taková vychytávka zvolit vlastní nápis na poznávací značce a tak dále. Takže teď bych možná ukázal jako další důležitou věcí, na které jsme hodně zapracovali, jsou deformace. Auto má kromě deformace vlastně polygonové. Auto se vlastně deformuje přesně v místě nárazu, postupně tak jak hráč to auto bourá, a důležitou složkou je tam vlastně normal mapa, která zvyšuje efekt vlastně realističnosti toho nárazu. Kromě toho se na autě objevují vlastně škrábance, uvolňují se kapoty, nárazníky a tak dále. Takže auto, kdybych s tím opravdu hodně chvilku boural, tak to auto se mi podaří úplně zničit, až dojde k výbuchu, ale to vám ukážu až po celém městě, protože to je ta scéna, tam by to moc dobře nejelo. Takže já vám teďka můžu ukázat ještě některá další auta. Tady taková specialitka v Mafii, jsou vlastně hot rody. V Americe to byla v 50. letech úplně běžná záležitost, že si vlastně mladí kluci po válce doma v garážích vlastně vylepšovali auta, a vlastně hot rodding tam byla taková masová už věc, masová záležitost, což se to opět moc třeba jako neví, takže možná si někdo bude myslet, že to není realistické, ale naopak je to součást vlastně té doby. V Mafii máme misi, kde přímo je gang vlastně tady těch drsňáků, odrodářů. Tady bych ukázal nějaké další speciální auta, které tam jsou pro oživení. Takže pancéřové auto, nebo tady je vlastně běžné v té době vozítko pro rozvážení mléka. Pak samozřejmě další vlastně nejrůznější typy aut jsme snažili, aby byly co nejodlišnější, a nejenom vzhledem, ale jsou odlišné, co se týče vlastně jízdních vlastností. Od obrovských limuzín, kabriolety, sportovní auta. Ještě bych možná ukázal, tady si trošku přelípnu, abych si to urychlil. Ve hře máme i větší vozidla. Vlastně od nákladáků nejrůznějších typů, větší vlastně traky. Tady vlastně taky vlastně bych ještě podotknul, že Mafia 2 se odehrává těsně po válce, kdy vlastně ještě bylo běžné, že jezdili po ulicích města vojenská vozidla, takže to taky vlastně dotváří tu atmosféru toho příběhu. Tam vlastně vidíme i vlastně bojovou techniku, samozřejmě hromadná doprava. Kromě toho tam máme ještě nějaké vozidla, které nejsou už tady v té scéně, jako třeba vlaky, nadzemku, letadla, takže ten život v tom městě je opravdu plný. A tady můžu třeba ukázat, že opravdu všechna vozidla je možno pro hráče se s nimi svést. jezdit s nima, deformovat a vlastně zkoušet, co ta vozidla dovedou. Tady ten taháč je zrovna hodně silný, samozřejmě ta fyzika je realistická, takže já s tím taháčem můžu narážet ostatní vozidel a způsobovat tam v tom ve městě nějakou s tím v úzovkách srandou. Jinak ve hře máme kolem 30 takových standardních vozidel. Samozřejmě pro hráče bude působit, že tam je daleko víc díky tomu, že ve městě jezdí různé barevné varianty. A ještě vlastně navíc ty vozidla ve městě nejezdí tak, jak vidíte tady ve scéně, tady jsou všechny jakoby čistá, lesklá, kdyby vyjela z autosalonu. Tak ve městě potom samozřejmě jezdí zašpiněná, různé fázy toho zašpinění a některá třeba jsou i částečně nabouraná, částečně poškrábaná. Takže opravdu jsme se snažili, aby to město působilo realisticky. Ve hře máme kolem 30 standardních vozidel a navíc tam máme ještě ty větší vozidla, kolem 15 těch větších speciálních vozidel, nákladáků, autobusů. Takže to bylo základem
tak ja by som začal takým úvodom, že v podstate ako väčšina soundtrackov, či už herných alebo filmových, je špecifická nejakým prvkom, či už hlavným motívom alebo proste nejakým efektom, niečím, čo robí originálnym oproti ostatným soundtrackom, tak aj v Mafii máme hlavnú tému, ktorá doprevádza príbeh počas celej doby hrania. Inšpirovali sme sa určite Mafiou 1, čo vlastne bol taký logický krok pre nás, keďže hudba mala z pôvodnej Mafie mala veľmi pozitívny ohlas. A ešte predtým, ako vám pustím nejaké ukážky z Mafie 2, z hudby, tak by som vám pustil pôvodnú tému z Mafie 1, aspoň časť, aby si tak rozpamätali, že proste, aby ste videli, aký to má posun v tej dvojke. Samozrejme tá skladba má viac ako 3 minúty, čiže je veľmi rozsiahla, má viacero motívov a pre nás bolo dôležité si z toho zobrať nejaké také najzaujímavejšie pasáže, ktoré vlastne boli našou inšpiráciou, ktoré sme prearanžovali, upravili, dali sme tam niečo svoje. Urobili sme si taký základný, jednoduchý koncept, z ktorého sme potom vychádzali. Teraz by som zahral takú nejakú klavírnu úpravu toho motívu, ktorý bude v Mafii 2 ako hlavná téma. Jednoduchý motiv.
On teda samozřejmě není jednoduchý kompozičně, ale jde o to, že prostě uslyšíte tu ústřední melodii v její nahosti, zahranou opravdu jenom čistým klavírem a ne s plným orchestrem. vychází z té dobovosti, to znamená, jsou to 50. leta, nemáme tam nějaký karate, kung fu a podobný bojový styly, které jsou dneska vidět v moderních hrách. Vychází to vlastně z klasického evropského boxu. Tady budeme na direkty, háky, a protiútoky. A samozřejmě jako je to street fight, takže se moc nemazíme. Těch končováků máme celou škálu. Takže tam policie se věnuje tomu druhému přesně, což se jako stává. Ale policie se nám tady už to jak začali, se všichni sobojili a tak to je víc. Moc. Ještě jedna feature, kterou bych rád přizvedl, ale město na to není úplně nejvhodnější.
Jo, no, na celou.
Číně jsou strašně líbí.
To je nejboxer.
Tak, můžete využít vlastně i překážky na to, abyste to prostě protivníka nějak zpracovali. Tyhle samozřejmě fungují při překážky, to znamená, že se vám běžně může stávat při střelce, že prostě když někoho narazíte takhle blízko u stěny nebo u zábrady nebo u auta, tak to auto normálně opnete, vyřešíte pár ranama pěstí do obličeje a můžete dál. Samozřejmě tady ty souboje s normálníma civilama, případně s gangstrama ve městě jsou spíš rychlé, jednoduchý.
Prostředí, policii a zničitelný prostředí. Takže, začneme autičkama. V Mafii máme auta z 30., 40., 50. let. Na počátku hry jsou k dispozici převážně auta z první poloviny 40. let, 35 až 40. Vytáhneme si z garáže jedno z těch horších aut, což je u nás Šobrt 38. A jim si ukážeme nějaké základní vlastnosti. Vidíte, že to řízení je takový pomalý, takový líný to auto, protože říkám jedno z prvních aut. Tak, začneme něčím méně destruktivním. Takže můžeme se otevřít, přední zadek, a tak to je běžel klasička. Střídením do motoru můžeme dosáhnout poškození motoru, což se navenek projeví kouřem motoru. Samozřejmě, když to auto bychom řídili, se projeví jízdní vlastnost na tom autě. Budeme přijet trošku dál, tak motor zčerná, což způsobí, že to auto už je úplně nepojízdný, ale protože se může stát i nárazama, tak máme možnost, že to je takový schopný opravář, takže si umí to auto aspoň v základu trošku opravit, aby aspoň bylo pojízdný. se zmíníme. No, nicméně autíčku se dá zničit spoustu různých způsobů. A tady se budeme se zbavit pana policajta, protože on by nám tady provokoval. Aha. Toho si nečněte, on tady jen tak. Se mu nelíbí, že to střílíme. Tak. Můžeme rozbít. Nicméně můžeme rozbít pneumatiku, můžeme auto vyhodit do povětří, tím, že mu rozstřelíme garáž, nádrž. Vidíte, jak autíčko znám kusky, krásně. Popraské pneumatiky a tím tady to auto vypustíme a vezmeme si nějaký lepší. Jako druhý auto, který vám ukážu, je Ascot Bailey, což je auto z druhé poloviny hry, je kvalitnější, ještě takový sportáček rychlejší. Na tom si předvedeme, máme dva jízdní modely, Normal a Simulation, takže na tady tom autíčku si předvedeme Simulation model řízení. Takový první, co je, to jsem si zrovna nebral nejlepší místě. To můžu říct, že už jako to auto je možné ho dostat krásně jednoduše do smyku a už prostě se s ním dá líp vybnout. Ale člověk se musí trošku soustředit na to řízení, protože už přece jenom to auto se chová víc reálně a řekněme, že nestačí už jenom držet plyn a kroutit volantem. Už musí člověk trošku toho, jak vidíte, se víc snažit. Ale aby jsme přeskočili z prezentace trošku dál, tak si ukážeme, co se dá s našimi autíčkami dělat v takzvaných bodyshopech. Sice to je prostor, kde můžeme auto upravit, vylepšit a tak dále. Takže. Jak vidíte, tak povedlo se mi nasadit na policii, donutit, aby po mně šla, takže si změníme značku, aby jsme se tím pádem policie zbavili a už nemáme car wanted. Je třeba poznamenat, že věci v bodyshopu jsou poměrně finančně náročná záležitost, takže hráč úplně od začátku nebude moct kupovat všechno, ale když bude vydělávat peníze, může si upravovat auto v bodyshopu. Aby jsme mohli pokračovat s dalšími opravami, musíme se auto opravit. Koupíme si lepší kola, pořádný, který samozřejmě mají vliv na jízdní vlastnosti toho auta. Trošku si to auto upravíme, já myslím nějaký třeba modro něco. A další zajímavá vlastnost je, máme dva tuningy pro každé auto, máme minimálně dva tuningy. A tím pádem se to auto samozřejmě vylepší si tomu jízdní vlastnosti, auto jezdí ještě líp, než jezdí na začátku. Kupíme si základní tuning, jak vidíte, další tuning je ještě, sportovní tuning je ještě dražší. Co je zajímavé k poznamenání, že ten sportovní tuning je takový, samozřejmě změní i váhu auta a výkon, prostě všechny možné vlastnosti, čeho si můžete všimnout, když se ho koupím, že to auto i trošku poklesne. Tím bychom opustili bodyshop. Ukážeme, co se stane, když s tím autem narveme do zdi. Jen tak jako vidíte, tak jenom tak pro ilustraci jsou pomačkaný plachy, není to jen čistě grafická úprava, trošku by nám mohl plandat, neplandá nám. Ještě trošku. Já jsem to trošku možná přehnal. Teď už nám dokonce i plandá blatníček hezky a naštvali jsme nějakého pána, který se teda rozhodl, že se to s námi dodá. To nebyl být, to jsem teda nechtěl prezentovat, ale co se dá dělat. Aha, to se nelíbilo policie. Dobře.
Jelikož jsme open world hrát, tak jsme trošku limitovaný resursama oproti některým hrám, se kterými se snažíme srovnávat. vlastně i klasickým střílečkám, jako je Gears of War, Uncharted a podobně. Ale i když máme limitovaný trošku resursy, tak se snažíme tam vměstnat, co se dá. Máme dost dobré technologie na to, na animace a podobně. Animační engine programoval tedy Petr Soviš, náš animátorský guru. A potom vlastně, na co jsme se soustředili? My jsme se soustředili hlavně na co nejvěrohodnější pohyb postav, aby měli opravdu, aby hráč měl pocit z toho, že ta postavička má hmotnost nějakou, že to není žádný Superman, je to přece jenom italský týpek, který v 50. letech může být na sobě jakýkoliv oblečení, v každém oblečení by měl vypadat pokud možno přirozeně a pěkně. I tak, ale musí to být všechno akční. A tak jsme se vlastně snažili vyvážit poměr kvalita animací a vizuální vzhled a na druhou stranu, aby se to dobře ovládalo, aby odezva byla co nejrychlejší a aby se to pěkně hrálo. To si myslím, že se nám podařilo docela dobře a chtěl bych vám to ukázat na příkladu, jako je cover systém. Tady vám ukážu jenom, že hráč se teda umí krýt, umí využívat dynamické objekty, jako jsou auta. Auta můžou hořet, když se hráč schová za hořícím autem, tak dostává zranění, může i uhořet. Vidíte, že můžou docela ladně obcházet rohy, to v jiných střílečkách není. Teď to máme akorát Splinter Cell, ale tam mi to přijde trošku nešikovný v tom, že vlastně tam musí hráč ukázat někam na roh, kam se chce přemístit a potom přemístit. Já můžu sledovat hráče nebo animáče a se kombinací dvou kláves přesunout ladně za roh, aby to krásně akčně ovládat.
Zkusit vylízt na to auto.
Jo, taky samozřejmě máme tam věc, že můžeme vylízt přímo z kablu a krotit vlastně, jde to přes ploty, přes zítky, přes bedny. Teď vám ukážu část levelu, na který vám prezentuju i systém zranění, jaký máme, jaký používáme. Vidíte, že panák může umřít v podstatě v jakýkoliv pouze, jak pěkně spadl do dolů. Máme fyzikálně simulované smrti, takže pokud během animace panák umře, nebo tak, pokud panák umře, tak se začne hrát animace smrti a v konce té smrti už se, nebo od začátku té animace smrti už se fyzikálně simuluje a reaguje na okolní prostředí, takže se v podstatě třeba snaží jít pořád dozadu, že dostává zásahy, ale už neprojde překážku a pěkně to vypadá reálně. Tak. Co jsme se snažili jako druhou důležitou věc je, aby hráč reagoval na věmy z okolního prostředí a taky na variabilitu animací. Vidíte, že vlastně hráč má spoustu pos v kablu, když se vrátím, tak má zase jinou, na druhé straně má další, můžu se skrčit samozřejmě a tam má dalších x pos, standardních, jakoby v takovém klidovém stavu. Já si tady přebiju. Teď vidíte, že hráč jakoby je pod palbou a vidíte, že se mu změnil animační set. Vypadá to trošku akčněji, pohyb se mírně zrychlí, aby jsme dali hráči trošku pocit, že je pod nějakým tlakem. Tak. Vidíte, že máme docela dost animací smrtí, je jich tam asi 80 a záleží to i na tom, do jaké části těla toho, kterého panáka trefím, když umírá nebo kdekoliv. Hrává se animace podle toho, do které části těla ho trefím. Tady si připravím ty typky, to byl pěkný. A vlastně my můžeme i kombinovat víc herních mechanik, jako například melee fight, jo, že vlastně během střílení normálně, když se dostanu k nějakému NPCčku moc blízko a je nevýhodný se otáčet různě a střílet, tak je lepší prostě na ně skočit a vypnout mu pár rán pěstí a končí toho melee fightu. Pokračujeme vejš do další části levelu. Použiju mám vypnutý zvuk, abyste mě slyšeli, ale Joe tady má nějaké vtipný hlášky a tak, co jich uznáte. Tak budete tenhle level dneska pravděpodobně hrát. máme samozřejmě víc druhů zbraní. Můžu teď si pohrát tady trošku a zapálit tam týka za tím kavrem. Vidíte, že hráč reaguje, když kolem něj dopadají kulky, mění i pózu v kavru. Tady hráč reaguje i, vidíte, že se kryje před ohněm, když tam něco hoří v tom levelu. Asi teď připravím bukovnici, takže mi Henry nechá se zakavrovat. Vidíte, že hráč reaguje, když kolem něj dopadají kulky, změní pózu, přehraje animaci, že se leknutí, zrychlí se dýchání toho panáka. A potom pokračuju dál. A tady hned pálí týpek s tom snu. A jelikož musí reloadnout, já mám čas sekundy vyhnout a dokončit ho telefightem. To je ode mě všechno a vlastně telefight vám odbudíte tady kolega designer Pavel Černohus.
Film prostřed hry. Tak, většinou takový proces vždycky začíná buď nějakým designem nebo scénářem, v našem případě je to teda design. A jakmile je design vyhotoven, tak se začne dělat na storyboardu, který nám velmi pomáhá k tomu, abychom odhalili zavčas chyby v timingu, chyby v textu, zkrátka věci, které se v textu špatně hledají. Jsou pouze identifikovatelné, jakmile se to začne alespoň v hlavě na základě něčeho takového začne pohybovat. Takže takhle vypadá nějak storyboard. Ten jsme vyráběli v nástroji bývalého, nebo starší nástroj, ve kterém se odehrávala Mafie. To byl ten starší engine. Je to vyloženě triviální, prostě máme tam nějaký záběr, ten se nějakým způsobem rozfázuje, připravují se už na základě toho i nějaké doplňkové texty, které prostě nebylo možné vidět pouze v tom dokumentu jen samotném. Takže bychom měli vlastně připravený dokument motion capture, což je další fáze celého toho vývoje. Motion capture máme vlastní, naše studio vlastní, motion capture máme v centru města, tady v Brně. Za oknem nám roste už úplně nový, mnohem větší, doufujeme, že mnohem lepší.
Pochybně tam bude moc capturovat i slony.
Ano, průběh koní je tak. K tomu bych vám snad jenom pustil tady mám nějakou prezentaci toho, co se vlastně tam děje. Takže to vás nechám. Zasílíme zvuk. Oblečou se lidi do obleků, herci a scéna se hraje. Samozřejmě musíme mít naprostý přehled, v čem se herec pohybuje.
Vito, one more thing. Here, put this on.
A takhle už to vypadá, že se zkompletuje.
So nobody recognizes us. Just put it on.
Ještě jeden příklad.
Myslím, že by někdy jistý trochu to pořádně neočekuješ.
Samozřejmě, když ještě nemáme výsledné voiceovery, tak jedeme na bázi jakési překladu, který si sami ještě doplňujeme. I tak vzniká text nový, který se tak předhazuje a oni ho konstantně upravují. Takže takhle nějak vypadá ten capture a práce na něm. Používáme většinou, nebo takhle v 90% jsme používali profesionální herce. V těch dodělávkách, to jste viděli, jsem tam byl já a kolega tamhle v rohu sedící. Dokonce v té závěrečné fázi to bylo pro nás velmi dobré, protože už jsme měli voiceovery a mohli jsme hrát přímo na zvuk, což teda v tomhle případě nebylo slyšet, ale je to velmi dobrá pomůcka a plánujeme, že takhle budeme dělat i nadále. Vzájemně se vnímali, čili ty akce tam fungovaly úplně perfektně.
Come on all the time.
Menší studia vlastně nahrávají třeba jenom jednoho herce zároveň, ale ty větší studia, jak bylo tohle, jak jsou schopni nahrávat všechny herce pohromadě, takže na sebe můžou reagovat a ten výsledek působí živěji. To je to samé jako malý motion capture studio by mohl nahrávat jenom jednoho, dvě postavy, ale velký, jako máme my nahrává třeba pět lidí zároveň.
Tady máme naše hlavní postavy Henry Whittle.
Whoa. This ain't some liquor store pickup. I want this to be done. I want this to be a clean job. If there's any shooting, your cut drops to a third. And if you get caught, I don't know you. And you really don't know me. Garish?
I got it, no shooting.
Okay. And when you're done, you come back here, we'll settle up.
Good luck, Vito.
I'm playing Marty. Marty. The crazy kid.
Hey, guys. Marty, what are you doing here?
Hey, Joe. I'm going with you on this one. Steve needed some help, and he said that I could come along, huh?
Co tady vlastně děláme, to už jste určitě pochopili, jedná se vlastně o takovéto srdce celé té mafie, které vlastně přináší ty emoce, radost, občas je to nějaký vtip. Zkrátka vytváříme film prostřed hry. Tak, většinou takový proces vždycky začíná buď nějakým designem, nebo scénářem, v našem případě je to teda design. A jakmile je design vyhotoven, tak se začne dělat na storyboardu, který nám velmi pomáhá k tomu, abychom odhalili zavčas chyby v timingu, chyby v textu, zkrátka věci, které se v textu špatně hledají. Jsou pouze identifikovatelné, jakmile se to začne alespoň v hlavě na základě něčeho takového začne pohybovat. Takže takhle vypadá nějak storyboard, ten jsme vyráběli v nástroji bývalého, nebo starší nástroj, ve kterém se odehrávala Mafie. To byl ten starší engine. Je to vyloženě triviální, prostě máme tam nějaký záběr, ten se nějakým způsobem rozfázuje, připravují se už na základě toho i nějaké doplňkové texty, které prostě nebylo možné vidět pouze v tom dokumentu jenom samotné.
That's it. Okay, got it. Take us up a bit. Payback's a bitch. Ah, yeah, just like clockwork. Here we go. These assholes ain't gonna know. Oh my God! Fucking idiot!
What the hell was that?
I don't know. The thing just blew.
We'll barely feel it, right?
All right. Let's go take a look.
I don't know why I fucking listen to you. I swear, you're like a half a retard sometimes.
What the?
Shit.
Christ, I almost pissed on my fucking shoes in
What
here.
a fucking mess.
Felt like a fucking earth. What the fuck? Oh, shit!
Lucky bastard.
You assholes! You're gonna die for this! Get away! Come on, Vito!
Takže bychom měli vlastně připravený dokument motion capture, což je další fáze celého toho vývoje. Motion capture máme vlastní, naše studio vlastní. Motion capture máme ho v centru města, tady v Brně. Za oknem nám roste už úplně nový, mnohem větší, doufám, že mnohem lepší.
Pochybně tam bude moc capturovat ty slony.
Ano, průběh koní a tak. K tomu bych vám snad jenom pustil nějaký, tady mám nějakou prezentaci toho, co se vlastně tam děje. Takže to vás nechám. Zasílíme zvuk. Oblečou se lidi do a scéna se hraje. Samozřejmě musíme mít naprostý přehled, v čem se herec pohybuje.
Vito, one more thing. Here, put this on.
A takhle už to vypadá, že se kompletuje.
So nobody recognizes us. Just put it on.
Ještě jeden příklad.
Jdeme 3, 2, 1, teď. Ty si nemůžeš být nikdy jistý, dokud to pořádně neočekuješ.
Samozřejmě, když ještě nemáme výsledné voiceovery, tak jedeme na bázi jakési překladu, který si sami ještě doplňujeme. I tancníka, textový, který se taky převažuje a on to pracuje.
This is for Marty.
Takže takhle nějak vypadá ten capture a práce na něm. Používáme většinou, nebo takhle v 90% jsme používali profesionální herce, v těch dodělávkách, to jste viděli, jsem tam byl já a kolega tamhle v rohu sedící. Dokonce v té závěrečné fázi to bylo pro nás velmi dobré, protože už jsme měli voiceovery a mohli jsme hrát přímo na zvuk, což teda v tomhle případě nebylo slyšet, ale je to velmi dobrá pomůcka a plánujeme, že takhle budeme dělat i nadále. A tyhle ty data, které se tam udělají, nasnímají, zpracují tamnější technici, animátoři, kteří to vyčistí a pošlou sem klukům. Ti to tady vezmou do parády, do motion builderu a dělají tomu veškeré polišování, hýbou tomu prstama, úpravu, ještě dodatečnou úpravu na určité úchopy, detaily zkrátka. A tím je to připraveno pro práci ve střížně. Střížna, to je tady ten nástroj. Zatím je připraveno nějak sporadicky. Střížna vznikala 2 roky. Je to nástroj, ve kterém lze prakticky dělat úplně všechno. Cokoliv nám modeláři vyrobí, designéři připraví, můžeme prostě všechno implementovat do střížny a pracovat s tím. Co tím míníme, jsou veškeré modely, veškeré partiklové efekty, veškeré světla, můžeme si tam přidávat kamery, kolik chceme, můžeme vše možně editovat, pohybovat s tím, animovat. Je to úžasný nástroj, velký nástroj a velmi těžký, složitý.
Samozřejmě je součástí toho našeho interního engineu, Illusion engineu.
Samozřejmě, jasně. Já vám pustím ukázečku, jak vypadá taková práce. Mimo jiné, když se podíváte a rozložím vám takhle pro zajímavost. Veškeré takey označují různé typy kamer, jedna kamera, druhá kamera. Zkrátka je tam toho velmi moc, požehnaně. Víte, že každá kamera má spousty klíčů, různě se to přesouvá a tak dál. Pak jsou tam různé modely, jejich animace, jejich další přesouvací klíče, různě skrývá, odkrývá, prostě cokoliv, co ta kamera potřebuje, aby bylo vidět. Velmi těžká práce je na tom. Není to obyčejná střižna, ve které jsou zvyklí filmaři pracovat. O to mají jednodušší, protože my vlastně díky tomuhle máme stíženou práci tím, že když my vyrobíme cutscénu, tak než dojde k vydání hry, my musíme neustále udržovat při životě, aby byla stále reálná vůči prostředí, které se může měnit.
Jinými slovy, teď většina filmečků v Mafii 2 běží real time. To znamená, jaký oblek si na sebe hráč vezme, v jakým autě tam přijede a tak dále, to všechno ta scéna musí zobrazovat. A proto tak, jak se průběžně ta hra vyvíjí, optimalizuje, mění se grafika a podobně, jak je potřeba udržovat ty data funkční i v rámci té scény.
Tak snad jen ukázku z toho, kolik se to vřídí, a vám když tak pustím cutscénu, část cutscény a uděláme pro vás to, že vás potom necháme nahlídnout na tu cutscénu jakoby z pohledu tvůrce, čili ne filmovou kamerou, ale jakousi base kamerou, která prostě na to kouká ze zadu. Jako byste se dívali spoza opony.
Vito, you here? Where is he? Over in the corner there. Now look, I tried to cut him off, but the motherfucker was gonna air my ass out if I did.
Okay, lock that door. And just give me a minute. Had a couple, huh? How you feeling?
Vito, about time you showed up. Everybody went home.
Gee, Joe, I wonder why.
Potom už v té hře neobjevují, to jsou jenom pomocné objekty, které nám to modifikují.
You drive here?
I took a cab. I wouldn't park my car in this neighborhood.
All right, finish your drink and let's go.
You fellas about to leave? I'll let you out.
Here's to you, kid. You went out like a man.
Shit, now where'd I put my keys?
Podíváme se na to teda, abyste viděli, že ta práce je na tom opravdu nelineární, že probíhá prakticky úplně stejně jako při každém jiném filmu nebo jiné výrobě filmu. Postavy se nám hýbou přesně podle toho, jak potřebujeme v kamerách a tak dále, takže uvidíte ty přesuny, světelné atmosféry se mění, co záběr, to je vždycky něco jiného. Pardon, ještě takhle. A jeden.
Oh, Vito, you here?
Where is he?
Over in the corner there. Now look, I tried to cut him off, but the motherfucker was gonna air my ass out if I did.
Dochází i ke
Okay,
zkracování
lock that
těch
door.
animací.
Just give me a minute.
Aby to šlapalo.
Had a couple, huh? How you feeling?
Vito, about time you showed up. Everybody went home already.
Gee, Joe, I wonder why.
Oh.
Right. You drive here?
I took a cab. I wouldn't park my car in this neighborhood.
All right, finish your drink and let's go.
You feel
původním nastavení nebo v nějakém implicitním, tak výsledek by byl hrozně vágní. Voiceovery. My jsme samozřejmě na začátku pracovali s českým textem, ale posléze se začalo pracovat výhradně s anglickým, takže nakonec se nahrával voiceover primárně pro angličtinu, nahrávali jsme ho v Americe, v Hollywoodu. Některý ty... Já vám pustím filmeček, vidíte sami.
Hey Frankie, we had a little business to take care of here. Why don't you go have a smoke? I like your scars, pretty boy. Where'd you get him? Can I touch?
Sharky?
Who
wants to know? Name's Vito. I need...
Shut up. Follow me. Come on! Cornholing time! Come on! I want to hear you squeal like a pig!
Menší studia vlastně nahrávají třeba jenom jednoho herce zároveň, ale ty větší studia, jako bylo tohle, jsou schopni nahrávat všechny herce pohromadě, takže na sebe můžou reagovat a ten výsledek působí živěji. To je to samé jako malý motion capture studio by mohl nahrávat jenom jednoho, dvě postavy, ale velký, jako máme my nahrává třeba 5 lidí zároveň.
Go get yourself a piece. You could get a phony gun license from Jeuxactu.
Wait, whoa. This ain't some liquor store pickup. I want this to be done. I want this to be a clean job. If there's any shooting, your cut drops to a third. And if you get caught, I don't know you. And you really don't know me. Gavish?
Yeah, I got it. No shooting.
Okay. When you're done, you come back here, we'll settle up.
Good luck, Vito.
I'm playing Marty. The crazy kid.
Hey, guys. Marty, what are you doing here?
Hey, Joe, I'm going with you on this one. Steve needed some help, and he said that I could come along, huh?
Takže takhle nějak vypadala práce v Americe. Takže máme zvuk, máme obraz, my to vlastně zkompletujeme, stříhači tamhle všechno, se zvukem to dáme dohromady a výsledný efekt vypadá takhle.
Just fucking drive. You try to fucking think it for once. Not help immediately, or we will open fire.
Take it easy, will you, Henry? Relax. It's under control.
I got a hole in my leg the size of a fucking spalding. You're telling me it's under control?
You're gonna have a hole in your head pretty soon if we don't get out of this. Vito, do something here!
A to je všechno.
Ten panáček takhle šmrdlá nohama pod tou obrazovkou a jelikož je mám pod obrazovkou, tak ani moc nevidíte, co tam s těma nohama dělá. Já to musím ještě jednou. Ale jelikož my máme panáka celýho na obrazovce a my ho chceme takový, protože máme co ukázat a je vidět, že všimněte si, že ten panák nikdy prostě neprostrčí nohu nohou, tak jak to dělají skoro všechny ostatní hry. Víte, tak tam vždycky ten člověk, kdo tam zadává, nastaví takovou šipečku, jakým směrem má ten panák skončit otočený. Máme tam takový dost unikátní systém blendování animací, takže ten panák si dokáže vyměřit úplně přesně, kam má dojít, kdy tam má dojít. A vidíte, že ty nohy nekloužou. Dochází úplně přesně na to místo, kam má dojít a působí to dost lidsky. Vidíte, že prostě ten pohyb je výrazný a poměrně rychlý, ale ještě pořád působí, že to jsou lidi. Je to hodně zrychlený kvůli tomu, aby se dalo pěkně ovládat. A teď se podívejte, jak ta animace vypadala původně, když jsme ji nasnímali. Takhle pomalu se lidi pohybují, ať se to zdá neuvěřitelný. Aspoň mně. Ten rozdíl prostě v herní animaci a v té reální animaci je strašně velký. Je potřeba nejenom to celý zrychlit, ale zvýraznit nápřah. Když je prostě panák delší dobu v nápřahu a potom rychle švihne a zvětší se oblouk, pod kterým jde ta ruka. A tady vidíte toho panáka vpravo, jak tou hlavou udělá, tak když tu hlavu vykloníte dozadu ještě o polovinu víc, tak to bude působit mnohem výrazněji. Bude to působit, že opravdu dostal velkou ránu. Je třeba všechno zvýrazňovat v té animaci. V motion builderu se vám to bude zdát, že má tu hlavu ulomenou, ale jelikož to tam bude pravděpodobně ve 3 snímcích, tak to neuvidíte v té hře. Vy prostě nevidíte ve hře každý snímek zvlášť. Vy tam vidíte spojitý pohyb a čím výraznější je, tím líp působí většinou. Co ten náš hráč umí. Nechtělo se mi to stříhat, je to jenom tak volně. Vlastně jsem do toho nějakou muziku a jenom abyste viděli styl soubojů v té naší hře, kterého se snažíme docílit. Pojď. To nazvučení je jenom, to jsme dělali my animátoři, takže to nebudete vidět. Chtěli jsme ty bitky udělat takový trošku brutální a to chce pendrive policejní. Máme tam systém kom. Vidíte, že využíváme i herní prostředí.
We're going to be adding to this plugin considerably over the next year. This is what's available today. In addition, we have a PhysX toolbar. We've added over here to the left-hand side, so that artists really feel at home in the environment. It's very natural to the 3D Studio Max paradigm. So, what we have here is a character from an upcoming game title. Hasn't been announced yet, so not at liberty to say exactly what title. But we've had our artists actually come in and add clothing to this character. I can come back and play kind of the basic motion capture for this particular game character. You can see how the jacket is very rigid, not very lifelike. So I can go back, and I'm going to actually play this back with PhysX clothing, and you can see the jacket is much more lifelike, much more realistic. It's going to create a much more compelling game experience. And you can see it's all happening right here within 3D Studio Max. The artist is doing this without any involvement from the programmer at all. They can go in and tweak values, really change things to be exactly how they want them to be. So what I'm going to do quickly is show you what the artist goes through to actually create content like this. So loading up the exact same character without Apex clothing on it. I'm going to play back here. You can see again a very static character in terms of clothing. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn this jacket into clothing. Select it, and I'm just going to go to PhysX, Apex Clothing, Create Clothing. You can see what we see here now is the physical mesh represented. So we have the graphical mesh that was created by the artist and the physical mesh that has been created by Apex Clothing. I can go and play my simulation, and you can see it's suddenly turned into a very dynamic clothing, but it's not staying where we want it to stay. Mainly this is because the artist didn't actually create a model back here where he didn't expect people to see it, really optimizing the game character for the game. So we have some tricks we have that allow us to take care of this type of situation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually turn off the pants here because this makes it easier to create this jacket. And then I'm going to go in here and turn off this physical mesh wire just because it kind of gets in the way of painting. So the first thing I'm going to do is set the max distance that each clothing particle is allowed to use, or allowed to move. I'm going to turn on this visualizer. This visualizer shows you how far each clothing particle is allowed to move. On the shoulders up here, we don't want it to move that far because we want it to stay on its shoulders. So I'm going to come in here and just flood all of these values with 0. So it's set to 0. If I go and play this back, again we're back to a very static clothing environment. So then using the native tools in 3D Studio Max that artists are really used to using, I'm going to paint the values on here that I want it to be. So this is a paintbrush. I'm going to select a flat paintbrush for painting. I'm going to choose a paintbrush of about 10 centimeters that allows me to paint things quickly. And I'm going to paint the value of about 20 centimeters because that's really how far I want the bottom of this clothing to move. I'll come in here and select paint, and then so I entered 1, not 20. How did that happen? And that's still not taking effect. Well, that's interesting. I've never seen this before. Try 20 again. Maybe it wants me to have a larger range here, so let's try that. There we go. Alright, so now I'm going to go in here and paint once again. Value of about 20 centimeters. And you can see how easy it is for the artist to really just come and paint the values he wants to really make this clothing dynamic. We'll move up here a little bit. Now in the back here, since this back wasn't modeled very well, we don't want the clothing to move that much. So I'm actually going to come back in here, paint this to a value of about 10 centimeters, limiting the movement back here. And then to get really lifelike clothing, I'm actually going to smooth these values out a little bit. So we have this tool here where I can just come and smooth the various max distance properties that are here.
You can even do things like his cuffs.
Yeah, you totally could. I'm not sure exactly what that would do on this model, but yeah, we could paint anywhere to have it move any amount we want. So that's fairly realistic. We'll go here and bring the pants back, and then play this real quickly. You can see we have a fairly nice clothing simulation, but again, it's falling through his pants right here, and we really don't want that to happen. So the next step is we have something that we call the backstop, and this is also known as animation collision. So what this is, it tells the clothing simulator not to allow the clothing particles to move past the animated bits of the clothing. So I can just select, I'm still painting, I can just select here, I'm going to switch to my backstop, and I'm just going to go ahead and flood this with 0. I want to smooth it with 0, let's try it again, flood it with 0. So that's going to tell essentially the various clothing particles not to move through the pants as we were seeing them before. So we fixed that problem fairly quickly. You can see, if you look closely, the jacket is kind of penetrating his pants right there. And we really don't want the clothing to penetrate other parts of the model. So what we can do quickly, again, this character has been rigged with bones and joints, to allow the the character animation. So I can actually go in here and grab one of those bones and use that as a collision volume for the clothing. So I'm going to find my left leg up and right leg up, and we're going to change the wireframe so we can see these. See these two orange blocks in here? These are the collision volumes generated from the bones. These are way too small for what we want to collide against. So I'm actually going to go in here and select this one and quickly scale the radius of that one up, change the height a bit, and then I'm just going to, oops, that's not what I want. There we go, and then I'm just going to move this back a little bit up here so it's closer to that jacket. And we'll do the same thing for the left leg here. Bring up the radius, scaling the height. Now we have other ways of setting up collision volumes. We can create custom collision volumes. We can generate it different ways. But now you see when I go back here and select this, you can see it's showing the various collision volumes that the jacket will be collided against. And now when I play back the clothing simulation, the jacket should stay out of the pants because we've told it not to penetrate through that part. So I didn't quite get it perfect. There's a little penetration going on there, but you get the basic idea. This clothing's a little stretchy right now, a little bouncy. There's various properties we can set on the property, various properties we can set on the clothing to avoid that, to really tune the clothing. It ships with some preset clothing types. You can create your own, changing the density, the stretchiness of the clothing, various and sundry properties that really allow you to simulate most types of clothing. So that's the basic demo. Just wanted to give you guys an idea of what type of investment Nvidia is making into these tools and how we're really looking to empower the artist in a way that was never before possible. So.
Behind the scenes voice recording for Mafia II. Article written on August 25, 2010 by Elizabeth Toby, 2K Game Senior Manager, Interactive Marketing. Jeuxactu, Director of Creative Production at 2K Games, spent a significant amount of time over the past couple years in recording studios for Mafia II, helping capture the amazing voice work you hear in Empire Bay. It's not often you get to see clips of what goes on during those recording sessions, but today I have a small snippet for you from behind the scenes.
ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Parents, you might notice a little spastic gleam in your teenager's eye today. Is it from the extra lead in the water? No. More than likely, it's from the liquid tones. The Empire Bay musical act popular with teens has released a new record album today, and all of Empire Bay's Liquid Tones fans, or Tonesies as they call themselves, were out on a mission to get their hands on it. Yet another reason for parents to be aware of the evils of rock and roll. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens.
You may recognize this voice from the radio broadcasts in Mafia II. It's the voice from one of the game's DJs. Here are some pieces of trivia, straight from Jack, about this recording session. The actor's name is Jim Thornton. He's a professional DJ on an AM radio station in LA, a 50s buff, and is one of the best voice actors I've worked with on any project. That old school ribbon mic he's speaking into is his, and he brought it to the session. It required some non-standard connectors to get it working with the modern equipment. The audio you hear in the movie was recorded directly from that mic. The modern mic we used for all non-DJ characters in the game can be seen directly behind it. The smoking jacket and the old glasses he's wearing are also his. Jim is smoking an unlit cigarette because the studio had just renovated that voiceover booth and they didn't want us stinking up the place. For anyone who doesn't know, the walls of voiceover booths are lined with cloth. Jim's whiskey glass is filled with apple juice. We ran out of whiskey the night before. Jim's character, radio host Gary Stevens, is Empire Bay's champion of morality and traditional values. He urges its citizens to resist the evils of rock and roll. We sometimes recorded for up to 16 hours a day. This particular recording session with Jim ended at midnight. We normally don't record video of actors who portray characters you'll never meet in the game. Gary Stevens is just a voice on your radio, but Jim got so into his character that I decided to film the performance so I could show the guys over at 2K. This was filmed at 1080p. I added the old newsreel effects afterwards. Get to know your developer, Lubomir Diecast, lead mission designer for Mafia II. Article written on July 21, 2008 by Elizabeth. I have been writing with some of the 2K development team over the past few weeks, asking them questions that Mafia II fans have emailed me. Today we debut the first chapter of Get to Know Your Dev with Lubomir Diecast, the lead mission designer for 2K. Question number 1, as a lead mission designer, what is your mission at 2K?
My main responsibility is to ensure that the final look of all the missions of Mafia II is as best as possible. In order to achieve this, it is necessary to stick to fixed regulations and, if possible, try to reach all the goals that have been set. In practice this means that I am primarily in charge of assigning tasks to each of the designers for my section, and I also need to make sure the first drafts they create can be used and look as best as possible. Naturally, I take care of what the missions should look like concerning both visual and gameplay aspects. In case any problems emerge, I try to resolve them immediately so that the time spent on production is as effectively used as possible and that the things do not have to be reworked several times. If something is unclear, I immediately go discuss it with my seniors, mainly with Pavel Berzek, the lead designer, and Petr Mikša, the game producer.
When you sit down to create a new mission for Mafia II, what are the first things that run through your head when designing that mission?
First, it is very important to create a list of actions and game mechanisms I would like to use in the given mission. It is crucial to count from the very beginning on using an interactive environment and consider the designed level a unique thing which should attract current modern players. Create a diverse environment, try to have some dominant thing in each level, have an animated environment, etc. Next, I need to prepare references and materials in order to create game sketches. In this phase, it is necessary to collect as many photos and film clips as possible as references for the designed location. Then, I create a rough sketch, that is a very simple game map including only basic geometry. Now, it is good to use art workers and their visions. The last thing to do is to produce a game 3D sketch, which is a rough model containing only a few textures, basic lighting, and several simple scripts necessary to test the primary gameplay. Now, from the perspective of design, the mission should be ready for graphic production. If all this passes through the process of approval, then the 3D sketch goes to the graphic team whose members then only deal with creation of graphics and do not have to invent the game, as it usual in other development teams.
Question number 2. Have you run into any situations in your career where you said to yourself mission impossible? If so, can you tell us a little about that situation?
As a game developer, I must admit I have to answer this question every single day. It is necessary to realize that even these days there are lots of things that cannot be processed the way we would like to do them in terms of technologies. Physics of liquids is a good example. This issue may apply to individual locations and their launching on consoles, PS3, Xbox 360, be it connected with the number of polygons in the view and connected FPS, then a number of lights per scene, size of textures and a collision scene, etc.
Question number 3. Talking about any game that you have played in the past, has there been any mission you played and said, wow, that was a great mission from a design standpoint?
This definitely happened to me after I finished the sniper mission in the last sequel of Call of Duty. I don't get surprised very often, but I must admit that this game impressed me very much in terms of its design. The authors managed to implement most ideas and innovative features other games are not able to offer now. Almost perfect.
Question number 4. If you could give one piece of advice to aspiring mission designers out there, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to create things on your own. If you think you have some potential, I would recommend that you start with game maps for games and modes with the help of free editors, Unreal Editor, Sandbox. To advanced ones, I would recommend Maya or 3ds Max, and if you succeed, then there is nothing to be afraid of. That's the way I began.
What is your idea of the term game?
Lately, I have found out that each of us has a totally different idea of what game really is. Some of us see only a box with a DVD in it, some see nice graphics, others see hours and hours of nights spent playing, lots of people find games relaxing, and some others can see never-ending work and t-shirts drenched in blood and sweat. However, it is also important to realize that it is never-ending fun, and that's what it's all about.
Get to know your developer. Lucas Burka, AI Dev Manager for Mafia II. Article written on August 6, 2008 by Elizabeth. Today I have a small question and answer session with Lucas Burka, the AI Dev Manager at 2K Czech, and touch on subjects from the best parts of his job to why listening to Britney Spears made him appreciate all kinds of music. Question number 1, what is your role on the Mafia II team?
I am responsible for all AI features to be completed in the proper quality and proper time. This is a good manager answer, right?
What is your most favorite thing about your job?
It's great when a person can see how a game gets created from the very beginning, and even better is if a person can contribute with his own ideas or feedback. I am really glad that I can be part of this project with all these great people.
Question number 2, what is your least favorite thing about your job?
Maybe waking up in the morning. I find waking up before 9 a.m. rather weird, or the coffee machine that sometimes forgets to return the coins properly.
Question number 3, what types of music do you listen to?
I listen to good music but sometimes also to a worse one, so that after that I can like the good one even more. Although there was this one time when I listened to Britney Spears, and since then I like generally anything.
Question number 4, any hobbies? Girls, cars, toy collecting, comics?
I do collect toy figures of girls and cars or something like that.
Question number 5, what is your favorite game?
Alright, it is Mafia II. Other than that it's Dota, Defense of the Ancients, Mod W3, there is nothing like a little ownage after the work.
Get to know your developer, Roman Holotic, lead artist for Mafia II. Article written on August 27, 2008 by Elizabeth. Roman Holotic, lead artist at 2K Czech, who you already know, as he's been commenting lately on Mafia II concept art, sat down with me today and chatted about art, his inspirations, and his plans for celebrating after Mafia II ships. Question number 1, what were your inspirations when you started creating concepts for Mafia II?
I don't remember exactly. It wasn't just one thing. I like the era, design of 50s, old movies. So this all was inspiration. Based on this I made my own vision about Mafia 2. Our game won't be strictly realistic, we want to have strong atmosphere in it so we have to stylize rough facts. Work with them but distill only the important and interesting stuff of them.
Question number 2, who are your favorite artists? Can be any type of artist, comic books, traditional painters, anything.
I like Frank Miller's comic books. His drawings are really amazing and stories are dark, romantic and breathtaking. Also I like impressionist paintings and one picture by Amedeo Modigliani, Sleeping Nude.
Question number 3, when you're not creating gangsters and mob boss characters for Mafia, what do you do in your spare time?
When I'm not creating gangsters, I draw naked women. Just for anatomy and drawing study of course. Or I go to pub. This is my second most favorite activity. Drawing in a pub is fine too.
Question number 4, if you had to choose a character from any gangster movie, which character would you be?
Sin City isn't a gangster movie, but I like its dark atmosphere and I like Marv's character. I don't want to be like him, but he is likable. If I think about the question, I don't want to be as any character of movies. I have my own life. I had never have an ideal or beau ideal.
Question number 5, what will you do when you finish Mafia 2?
I'll take a long holiday. I have a dream few years already to ride Route 66 by motorcycle. Whole journey from Chicago to Los Angeles.
Get to know your developer, Daniel Vavra, lead designer for Mafia 2. Article written on November 5, 2008 by Elizabeth. Daniel Vavra, lead designer at 2K Czech, chats with us today about his work on Mafia 2. He has some insight into his job, and those who are interested in getting into the gaming industry, as well as thoughts about the game and his role in creating Mafia 2. This interview was done in conjunction with Mafia 2 fan site GameSource. Thanks guys.
My name is Dan Vavra and I'm 33. Unfortunately. Currently, I work as a lead designer.
Question number 1, how did you become a game designer?
It was quite a long way. I started working for an advertising agency as an artist and I then joined as an artist. I created games at home, but at the time nothing like game designers existed so I didn't see any future for the job. Only when we started working on some project and as I got involved and had some comments from time to time, and thus I became a designer.
Question number 2, what would you recommend to those interested in becoming game designers?
It's difficult because I didn't start as a game designer. Nevertheless, you have to be talented for this job. Lots of people would like to become designers, but they don't have the skills they need, at least not yet. The simplest way is to join a game producing company and work at some other position, for example as a tester. In my opinion, it's better to get some experience first, such as to create some quality game modes or a new level with a good idea for some existing game. Another option is to start working as a script programmer, which is something I have no idea about. Being programmers, they in fact affect what happens in the game and locations. And if they prove to be good, they may advance to designers. In my opinion, it is best to try the mod scene and then work as a script or programmer in the company.
Question number 3, what are you working on these days? Can you tell us?
Well, writing. Ha ha ha. We are creating a new thing so I keep writing plus I supervise other people's work. For example, I come up with some idea, they work on it, and I then check it whether it corresponds to the original plan. So we quite cooperate.
Question number 4, when you started writing the screenplay for Mafia 2, did you already know what the ending would be like? Or did it change during the process?
Basically, I came up with the main plot and its beginning, and I also knew where the game should get. Then, I created the rest so the main storyline takes us, let's say, 4 weeks, and then we work on details. Most people don't work like that though. They just begin and don't know what it will end like even several months later. In a way, they let the characters and their possible behavior carry them on through the story.
Question number 5, did you try to follow up from the story of Mafia 1? Lots of people speculated about Tommy and his daughter or son.
No, we didn't. I've read quite a number of ideas people put on the internet. Yes, lots of things could have been done predictably like that, but it wouldn't have been good to do it just because people already thought it would be like that. I don't think it is so important to have the screenplays connected. Besides, we would be limited in many an aspect because it would be obvious what has to happen. And this wasn't attractive for us.
Question number 6, did you do any graphic design for Mafia 2? We know you created the menu for Mafia 1.
I created a proposal of the menu and GUI, but so many people have worked on it since that it's no longer my work. So there's not much from me in terms of graphics.
Question number 7. Do you consult with any team members or friends who worked on Mafia 1 and aren't working on Mafia 2?
Most of those who worked on Mafia 1 work on the sequel now, so I don't consult the others much. I'm still in touch in some of them, but I'm not allowed to publish info outside the company. I mostly work my way and don't let the others interfere. If somebody comes up with a good idea, I of course agree. In general, though, I like to have my own idea and prefer it to creating things in a team.
Question number 8. How do you feel about the Mafia 1 mod community?
I can say I definitely like the mod scene, but don't have time for it, unfortunately. There are tons of various mods and there is no guideline as to what to focus on in order to filter out practically pointless attempts and keep the good ones. This doesn't mean that I ignore the community, though. If somebody comes and brings some good thing and would like to work here, I definitely take a look at it. In general, though, it's quite demanding in terms of time.
Question number 9. Are there any 2K Czech members that have film experience?
Yes, there are some FAMU, Film and TV Academy, graduates in the company. On the other hand, I studied this myself and am interested in it, so I mostly work with my own experience, and our animators then implement it. Some got to this work through this FAMU while others through amateur films. It is also thanks to them that there is a film drive in the game.
Question number 10. Where do you get your inspiration for screenplays, stories, characters, etc.?
I have to read a lot, not only about Mafia, but also about its era, politics, etc., and that's what we used to base our plots on. During that, of course, you come across real events that were quite interesting.
Can you give any examples?
Unfortunately, I cannot tell you, but I'm often inspired by real events. For example, Don Corleone in Godfather was inspired by a real agent, Carlo Gambino. Most of good gangster movies are based on real events. Mostly, they are biographies of gangsters, or autobiographies. Films like Casino and Goodfellas are based on real characters, so it was quite easy for the authors to create them. They got a biography of a gangster, shot a movie, and that was it. We take for example year 1950 and work with the relations some two families had at the time, and that's what our own ideas are based on.
Question number 11. So you write the basic storyline and then forward it to somebody else to review?
Well, it's not a basic line, it's quite detailed, but somebody else processes it for the game design so that the game can be created according to it. So also I do it, but I could never manage all that myself, therefore there are several people for the job.
Question number 12. It is important that the player identifies with the main character in the game. How do you achieve this?
Similarly to the way films are created. The character has to be likable, so it's important to think of something I like and have it judged by others. The character has to have some history, some characteristics, life experience, etc.
Question number 13. Concerning customizable characters, do you prefer allowing the player to create their own personalized character, or do you prefer pre-created characters?
This very much depends on the type of the game, and it's also up to the developers. It's quite good to create one's own character in Fallout or Oblivion, but in Mafia it's better to have the character fixed.
Get to know your developer, František Harkar, mocap lead animator for Mafia II. Article written on December 3, 2008 by Elizabeth. František Harkar, lead animator for all the motion capture on Mafia II, talks with us about his experience creating amazing animations, and how 2K Czech is working to make the movements in the game realistic and fluid. Question number 1. There are a number of different animators working on Mafia II. What does being the lead animator of mocap entail on a daily basis?
Most of my work lies in communication with lead animators, actors, and the organization of motion capture sessions. The key thing I am responsible for is the quality of the mocap data and that it is delivered on time.
Question number 2. What are you doing to make the game look different, better, more distinct than any in the past?
We use modern technology. A good example of this is the optical system Vicon. It helps us to record the movements of the actors in more realistic way than ever before. In the past we used a magnetic system, which wasn't nearly as good.
Question number 3. How do you capture movement so that it is realistic and diverse?
We try to build and organize scenes in the way that allows the actors to move as naturally as possible. We don't want any artificial movements. We also have to keep the actors in the ideal capture space. That can be very difficult sometimes. We also use realistic models of utilities, such as guns, so that actors really carry things made of actual material in its actual size and weight.
Question number 4, what got you interested in this kind of animation?
The work is varied. I meet a lot of new people. There is always the possibility to use new and better software. And what I really appreciate is that no matter what the actor we are capturing looks like, the final look of the character is our job.
Question number 5, are there any games, or other works, that give you inspiration?
I really like Pixar animations. I also watch animated cartoons a lot, and of course I sometimes play games and follow new technology. My biggest inspiration is always the final piece of my work. I am always looking for mistakes and ways to eliminate them in future projects.
Question number 6, are you any of the characters? Will we see any of your personal movements in the game?
Well, I was a dead donkey once. So I didn't actually move. I also was a jailer. I'm always some unimportant roles. We have actual actors for important roles.
Get to know your developer, Lucas Cure, senior producer for Mafia II. The senior producer on Mafia II, Lucas Cure, talks a lot about the game, his job, and what it's like to work on a franchise with such a huge fan following. Article written on February 4, 2009 by Elizabeth. Question number 1, many people don't understand exactly what a producer does. Can you let the community know what a typical day is like and what your responsibilities are?
There is no simple answer to this question, and that's probably also the reason why there's no general awareness of this job. I'll try to sum it up somehow and not get long-winded, but I apologize if that happens anyway. Basically, as a producer, you talk and write a lot but create no physical assets for the game content, unfortunately. You're responsible for the team and project you are working on. The product has to be finished, it has to correspond to the qualitative goals of the project, and it has to be released to the market when it is able to bring good profit. I'm not trying to depict producers as businessmen, the term manager would fit better. Fortunately, I still spend most of my time with the team dealing with both pleasant and unpleasant issues that keep emerging all the time during development. You need to have control and enough basic knowledge about everything the team is working on, but also an ability to keep your distance in order not to lose the global overview. I heard comparison once that producer is like a clown in the circus who spins the plates on the sticks. He must have all the plates spinning all the time. None of them should stop spinning nor fall down, as that would be disaster for the show. Coordinating is the core activity you need to handle. Often, it is necessary to synchronize various internal and external teams and companies. However, as the teams are getting bigger and bigger these days, this is beyond your possibilities, and this work is mostly dealt with by adding development project managers and producers who are responsible for specific teams and groups. If you think about the game in your leisure time, your thoughts are of a different character than those of artists and coders. They focus on their field, while a producer thinks about what can become problematic and how to prevent it from happening in any one part of the whole project. If you ask a coder what exactly his work on this game was, he or she could say, "I created a code for the animation system." Should you ask an artist, he or she could say, "I created this interior or that car." Unfortunately, if you ask a producer, he or she says only and then produces a lengthy, confusing answer like this one.
Question number 2, so far, what's been the most challenging hurdle for you?
To be honest, I don't keep any charts. There are tons of problems you have to deal with, so you're quite glad to gradually forget about them as the time goes so that they aren't your nightmares anymore. However, some of them haunt me in my sleep while I think of a plan how to resolve them.
Question number 3, you've had the game in development for 5 years. What kinds of things have been revised over this time?
It would take several pages to answer this question, so I will try to speak only in general. In the beginning, we were working on an add-on for the original Mafia on the old generation of hardware, which we abandoned after some time and decided to work on a proper next-gen sequel with a new, even more thrilling and dramatic story which, as we are hoping, would motivate the players to finish the game several times, to see all possible conclusions, and whose game features would be fun across platforms. The changes of target platforms and challenges with new technology have prolonged the development most. If you are switching from one hardware generation to the next, you have to revise almost all the game features, given the differences in performance. These changes lead to a revision of the design and the number of game features. We have been forced to change both render and physical engines more than 3 times for various reasons. Pathfinding has been a big problem too. We have always developed or selected technologies so that they would correspond to the goals we wanted to reach. Soon you will be experiencing the fruits of that approach.
Question number 4. How do you work with all the other producers on the project, from the dev studio's producers to the publishing side? What's your workflow look like?
Publisher producers are like customer spokesmen. Our main task is to communicate and to make sure that all sides get all they need, special builds, information or whatever. Our job is to coordinate all design, QA, localization, marketing and PR efforts. We have scheduled video conference calls on weekly basis. We're spamming our email inboxes, and bug/issues databases. Internal producers, gameplay producers, are responsible for gamers' experience from gameplay perspective. The game must grab you and not release until you get everything we wanted to give. Anyway, internal producers help directly with development. The external producers help too, but most of the time also add more work which developers usually think that can be done later. But this entire world works as it should in the end. Developers always care more about their baby, the game, itself than about marketing or PR support, what information gets released where and who will write it or in which languages the game will be released.
Question number 5. How does it feel to work on a game that's got such a huge fan following?
A simple answer, it is a very pleasant feeling which puts you above the problems you have to deal with, and it is very motivating for further work. You would like to please the fans with an even better game, expand the fan club, and not lose a single one from the already existing ones. I myself have no desire to become famous, but I would like as many people as possible to play our games and to enjoy them.
Question number 6. What is your favorite gangster movie and why?
Godfather and Goodfellas, definitely. I like the story, direction, and acting. The characters in these movies have a great charisma, and the story is credible and interesting. From the current movies, American Gangster is worth watching, even though it cannot be compared with the above-mentioned ones. When I watch these movies, and I have watched them several times, I am always forced to concentrate on them and I don't do anything else.
Question number 7. If you had all the money in the world, what is the first type of car you would buy and why?
Should I try to get closer to the era of Mafia I, it would probably be a Ford V8. A classic car with a cool classic design. Concerning the era of Mafia II, I have no favorite car yet. If you ask about what I would buy now, I guess I have to disappoint you because I would not buy any classic or vintage car, as I don't feel comfortable with the idea that it could fail me at some intersection. I prefer big, reliable, high cars from which I can see the front hood, and feel safer by being a bit higher above the ground. Those are not sports cars or trucks, as you could guess from the previous description. It is something in between an SUV, or an off-road car. Since the credit crunch is commencing, I'm searching for hybrid SUV. These are available in US, but not here yet unfortunately. For those readers who are younger, don't think I'm strange. I owned a fast sports car, but I'm getting older, and, priorities change. A car is more of a tool for me now.
Question number 8. What do you want people to feel, think, or say, when they get their hands on the final product of Mafia II?
Wow, that's amazing. I really like the game and I enjoy it. I also want the players to remember what the story was about, see flashbacks of interesting moments, and who is the main character and his friends. They should be able to remember a few years later what happened in the game, to remember that they played and enjoyed it, and not to confuse it with any other title. In the end, it's always the strong memories that tell how good the game is. Of course, I want them to vote for the best game of the year, century and universe, as the other developers do, but now it's our turn to create such game that people would vote for, and that is the challenge we have committed to.
Question number 9. Give me the elevator pitch for Mafia II right now. How do you sell it to someone who hasn't ever heard of it before?
Do you want to become a made man? Do you want to deserve the respect of becoming a valuable member of the family? Do you want to live on and beyond the edge of society and make your own rules all the time? Do you want to get all the money you could ever desire and spend it any way you want? Do you want to get any car and woman you see? Do you want to become the true mobster? Then Mafia 2 is the game for you. It will make you live, not play through the whole experience, including all the fear, tension, happiness, love and sadness that such life would bring you.
Get to know your developer, Thomas Herbisek, lead animator for Mafia II. Article written on February 25, 2009 by Elizabeth. 2K Check's lead animator, Thomas Herbisek, sits down with me and talks more about the variety of jobs he is undertaking for Mafia 2. Question number 1. What is your role on the Mafia 2 team?
I work as a lead animator for Mafia 2. At the very beginning, I was responsible for all the animations in the game, such as basic controls, in-game animations, and cutscenes. However, Mafia 2 is such a big project that it is just impossible for a single person to take care of all three disciplines. Therefore, I have focused solely on cutscenes and passed basic controls and in-game animations to other two senior animators in the team who lead their own animation subteams. Thanks to these reliable senior animators, my workload has been very much reduced since, and I can fully focus on creating the cutscenes and making them amazing.
Question number 2, what is your typical day like, being lead animator on Mafia 2?
To be honest, there are no typical days at all. The only thing I do every day is that I come to work in the morning and turn my machine on. Then, my colleagues start coming to discuss various issues, planning, and game improvements. I also give feedback on other animators' work. Simply put, it is never the same. Unfortunately, it is not that others assign tasks to me and I just complete them. I have to deal with a lot of things as they emerge and adjust my work to it. When I finally get some time, I deal with editing or with the mocap.
Question number 3, what do you like most, and least, about your job?
The most interesting thing certainly is the creative part of my job, from directing the mocap to editing cutscenes. In other words, it is creating something new and watching it grow. In order to do this, however, you have to plan a lot of things, create schedules and assign work to other animators, resolve lots of technical issues connected to the real-time limits of our cutscenes. And this is my least favorite thing. By far the worst part of my job is debugging cutscenes in the game. It just gets you down when you submit a cutscene in its final version, with everything fully working in the editor, only to find out that something is missing in the game, like a gun, or some character disappearing when he's not supposed to.
Question number 4, how long have you been in gaming? What did you do before coming to 2K Czech?
I guess I started in 1998, so it has been some 11 years. I joined Illusion Softworks as an artist even before the development of Mafia 1 began. And before that? I used to work as a geodesist. True, it is not very close to the gaming industry, but there were lots of computers in the company, so I had a chance to render my first CG attempts in the evenings there.
Question number 5, what's your favorite game, to date? How about your favorite genre?
Unfortunately, I haven't had time for playing games at all lately. Everything is just about work, and my family. However, I enjoy games like Command & Conquer or games with multiplayer, good old Counter-Strike or Team Fortress 2. I feel a lot more adrenaline in my veins when playing against my friends than a single-player game, where if I fail, I can restart without anyone knowing.
Question number 6, what's the first game you ever played that really made an impact on how you view games or do your job?
When creating a game, I am influenced a lot more by movies than other games. I think presenting a story in movie form is the most credible and absorbing medium, and this is why movies are the best inspiration and study material for me.
Question number 7, what is your inspiration when you work on Mafia 2?
I am mainly inspired by gangster movies from which we learn about behavior of gangsters and atmosphere in general. Of course, there are lots of other movies, even of some other genres, that inspire us by their use of camera, editing, method of narration. It is important to analyze the movie that influenced you so you can figure out what exactly inspired you.
Get to know your developer, Martin Sovrel, Development Manager for Mafia 2. Article written on May 7, 2008 by Elizabeth. Martin Sovrel, Development Manager at 2K Czech, talks about his work in the studio and on the game. You may already know Martin from around the 2K forums. If so, here's your chance to learn a bit more about what he does when not posting about Mafia 2. Question number 1, tell us about your background. How long have you been at 2K Czech? How did you get in the industry?
Originally I started out as a game journalist. I was freelancing for several media outlets online, print, television before settling down as a chief editor of magazine Dupe. By that time, Petr Vokulska, who was Illusion Softworks CEO back then, approached me. He told me that he liked the ideas and opinions in my articles and that I should make better use of them by actually making games, not just writing about them. Obviously this was an offer you can't refuse. I joined the studio in 2004 and since then I have taken on several duties on few consecutive projects, starting with Hidden and Dangerous 2, Saber Squadron.
Question number 2, how does your work differ now from when you were a journalist? Would you be less critical if you wrote articles again now?
It was a big change to go through the looking glass. Even when a journalist is fortunate enough to participate in many studio tours across the world, he will never really see the raw development process up close and personal. There is just so much that goes into inventing and putting together everything that makes a big game. You cannot describe all the difficulties, emotions, energy and hard work that go into the process. But even though I say that now, understanding better how games are born would actually not change my writing attitude as a journalist. A game is still as good as it plays, the end-user experience is not and should not be influenced by the development experience.
Question number 3. What's it like to be on the inside of the studio, and how do you view the industry after coming from journalism?
Working in a big press company before, I was always somehow lonely. Being a game journalist, my colleagues from different media/publications either did not understand my area of expertise or they considered it inferior. The best thing about moving into a game development studio is that I can share my passion for games with literally everyone and they are as excited about our projects and all the good games out there as much as I am. Anyway, my view of the industry got much wider thanks to seeing almost all of its sides. Hardcore user, publishing and development. And I still consider it to be the most interesting media of our generation. It will grow into more powerful and interesting entertainment in the future, that's for sure.
Question number 4. Can you tell us about your day-to-day role at 2K Check?
My title/position has actually changed few times, from assistant producer to lead designer to music producer to the current development manager of our media group. I guess it is not only due to different needs of the projects that I have been working on but also due to my rather wide spread of interests. Currently I am handling the managing of music, audio and cutscenes for Mafia II while I also take care of the marketing requests that are coming into the studio. Recently I was given a chance to participate on the official 2K forums for Mafia II and although I'm swamped with my studio duties, I still enjoy my time among our fans very much.
Question number 5. What do you like about your job? What is a good day for Martin Zavrel?
Well, I am quite passionate person and I do have a very strong relationship with our music department. I love to come in, sit with Mattis and listen to the newest piece of music. The same goes for sitting in front of a newly finished cutscene from our animators. Other than that, as a manager, I obviously love when a week or month ends and work is delivered as planned. Last but not least, being the communicative character that I am, I enjoy to spend time with the journalists or focus group people when they come to visit us.
Question number 6. What are you most proud of so far concerning Mafia II?
I did play a special role in setting up the music. I was in charge of the musician contest a few years ago and was fortunate enough to select Mattis Siraki as the winner. After that I have helped him get used to the game industry and his work within the studio. Together we went through the difficult process of defining the musical style for Mafia II. Although we are aware of the Mafia I heritage, we really wanted to come up with something new and bigger than before. We were struggling between classical movie style, Godfather movie, modern movie style, Road to Perdition movie, and contemporary jazz. In the end, reactions of the fans to some of the musical bits we have already released prove that we went in the right direction.
Question number 7. What sorts of games do you play in your spare time? What are you playing at the moment?
I am a huge fan of anything with a strong story, beautiful music and generally strong emotions. Because of that, I play a lot of RPGs, Final Fantasy, Mass Effect, Oblivion, but also heavy story-based action/adventure games such as Metal Gear Solid or Silent Hill. At this very moment, I am still playing Resident Evil 5, although I have unlocked all the achievements already, but also Call of Duty 5 multiplayer, Killzone 2 multiplayer, Riddick, Assault on the Dark Athena and Godfather 2. I always play more than one game at a time and I always have all the platforms that are out there, including handhelds.
Question number 8. What is your favorite game of all time?
To pick just one is so damn hard. Alright, I would have to say the original Metal Gear Solid, PS1, 1998. For me, even though being a hardcore movies fan, this game has broken the barriers and proved that a video game can be the ultimate form of narration, literally plunging the player into the virtual world, and when he eventually surfaces, he does so richer and wiser as if he actually went on that trip for real. Also some of the melodies and dialogues from that game will never let go of my mind. You mustn't allow yourself to be chained to fate, to be ruled by your genes. Human beings can choose the kind of life that they want to live.
Lake Park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. cast two, me, you, sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act one,